My name is BLEARN Energy, and we've been on a sporadic mini global tour. Sporadic, I say sporadic because we've been doing it. And we were able to see at least 5 cities this year, which was amazing. Thank you. And also, the only reason why I say that, typically our events, the audience comprises of artists, like musicians and things of that sort. But considering how I curated the panel, 80% of the audience members comprises of founders, which, the panel is most of you. Give them a round of applause, by the way. If you're a founder, you got a dream and a vision and you stick to it, congratulations to you, because you know how difficult it is. So I'm very happy for you guys to drop your gems and your experiences. And the way I curated this series of panels is getting a glimpse of people's, stories and their journeys and how difficult it is, the successes, the failures, the doubts, and how they maintain mindfulness, stillness, and self-care. So without further ado, panel number 1 is called Self-Care as a Creative Entrepreneur. So let's give that a round of applause. And I'm rated by Samia Lily.
I'm an artist and designer. I'm also a therapeutic art life coach, and I founded the Remedy Studios. It's an alternative and holistic healing practice. And I am welcoming our beautiful panelists today. We have Bailey Woods from Elevate Business Solutions, the Shark Group. And Monica Faye from Totally Normal Chaos.
Monica actually, she dislocated her arm. Sorry, that's me.
I do apologize.
Sorry, I meant to tell you that. My bad.
That's okay.
Yes, Penny from BLEARN holders.
All right.
We're Black and Black. You have them. Oh, actually, this is mine. You got it.
My mic short.
You got it. Okay.
Yes, so as we get started, I wanted to have everyone join us in a brief grounding exercise. I thought it would be great for us to all be on the same wave and just take a moment to reflect and express our moment of gratitude. So we'll start by getting grounded, and you can do this by grounding your feet flat on the floor. And you can adjust your seat and get comfortable. You can ground yourself by placing your hands in your lap or at your side, whatever feels comfortable for you. You can close your eyes, and we'll do a collective breath. So we'll inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 4. And then we'll repeat. So ready? Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. And exhale, 2, 3, 4. And now you can continue to do this on your own time. So we'll follow the same breathing pattern for a few more moments. And as you breathe, you can begin to think of things that you're grateful for, moments that you enjoy with your friends and family this week, and what you look forward to as Miami Art Basel comes to an end. We'll take one last collective breath. So let's inhale, hold, and exhale. Thank you for joining me in that. And you're feeling grounded and centered. And so let's get into it. What is self-care, and what is it for a creative entrepreneur? So I'm an artist and designer, and I founded the Remedy in response to, how I navigated the world. And I saw that by creating, I was able to heal myself and let go of things that I was holding on to with each piece that I created. And I wanted to say that I actually had a full circle moment today with being here today because I've known Kiki for over 5 years now, and last year I was able to exhibit my work here digitally at the Fearless Artists, and I was also on a panel on art and social justice, and now here I am moderating. So I'm going to allow our panelists to introduce themselves and talk about what they do.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for the energy. I'm a little nervous up here. So my name is Tamaya. I'm from France originally. I moved to Miami about 6 years ago. I initially wanted to work on entertainment, TV, radio, and all that. I worked as a booker in Vogue, and I realized that what I actually loved was to help people to pursue their dreams. And I just didn't feel like the position that I had at the time was something where I could live with purpose. So my first love is dance, and I chose that, I'm just going to start teaching dance on the beach and we'll see what happens. I'll create on community and tribal scene. Your Bible tracks your tribe, right? I believe that 100%. So I started doing that, and little by little, it just became a community, a business, a sisterhood. It's called Electrifying. And so basically, I teach women to focus on confidence through dance and wellness. So from fitness, their nutrition, their better habits, spirituality, or whatever the case may be. So that's a little bit of my journey.
Woo!
Hey. Danny Woods here. I am an entrepreneur and I also keep a job. Social media manager for the Shark Group, Family John, and other life. And I'm also here at the capacity of the 30-day challenge, which was a creation of mine with my homies. Hey, homies. Yeah, we were on there just trying to live and create. And I do want to stress that we're all creators, right? So in order for us to create, we have to have a clear mind. The 30-day challenge club does 30-day challenges every month on gratitude, self-care, financial wellness, fitness, everything that you need to be whole. And you work on it a little bit at a time, and then you'll see eventually you'll hit your marks and your goals. So shout out to 30 Days of Intent. Shout out to 30 Days of Goal Setting in summer. Get it done. And yeah, let's talk about being creative.
Let's go.
So I'm Canadian Holder, and I'm an activist and educator, and as a scholar. And I call myself now a liberation hustler that uses humor to heal the racial divide. Because sometimes people like to be hustled, They don't want you to just say this in a little normal. So my hustle is humor. I'm gonna make that laugh. You know what I'm saying? At this insanity that is humanity accepting and continually co-creating this racist world that we live in. No one wants to hear that. So I mean, wow. All right. So how do I do that? Right? Again. We got 3 National Endowment for Humanities fellowships. I'm running around doing all this scholarship. No one cares. No one cares. They're not reading books. They buy them, they display them on shelves. They're not reading them. They don't want to know. They want to laugh. They want to experience. So that's what I give them. 4 out of 8. 4 on.
That was good an experience. Yes, for the black. Yeah, right. Go. What the shade? Okay.
you know, one of the most important. When I say so, you say important. It's so important. Important, you know, because it's important. It's black. It's a little bit less important than it used to be. So it's so important to end racism. But instead of ending racism, I want to solve school. And the only issue really that I want to solve in this school is to teach the children black heritage. Your candidates should be up by your cheekbones, reading it, and your nostrils should be tight like a zip tie when you're arrested. Like handcuffs. That's how your nostrils should be. Click them. And the last issue that I will solve, it is a parasol, not an umbrella. It was you, sir. It was you. It was you that said, "Oh, you know what? It was you." Who said it? Someone, I have it on like, I will play this again. One of them said it was an umbrella. It is not an umbrella. When I say it is a parasol, not an umbrella. It is so important. I love you now.
Let's give it up for our beautiful panelists. So, I'm going to do a brief introduction and then we'll get into the questions and then we'll open it up to the audience as well. So let's talk about self-care today. A creative entrepreneur is an individual who creates a new business in a creative field, industry, and is usually taking on most of the risks while being able to enjoy most of the rewards. So thank you everyone for taking risks. I wanted to say that I'd like to honor John Kilhope, who was originally the moderator for this panel, and I am here to take her seat. And so, you know, self-care can be broken into 6 different buckets. There's mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, social, and professional. Maintaining all 6 of these elements may sound overwhelming and just feel like a lot of work. But here's the thing. All of these elements really boil down to identifying your needs and wants. So I wanted to know, what does self-care look like for you?
So self-care, so first of all, I want to be very transparent. And I'm sure a lot of us can testify that sometimes we don't follow what we preach, right? So I'm a wellness coach, so I'm the first person to tell my clients, you need to rest, you need to sleep, you need to balance. But there is a time in entrepreneurship where you may not have balance, right? So for me, my self-care, I've got moments where, you know, on my seasons where I'm just like, okay, I gotta go, it's being on the beach. So one of the things that I told myself was, when I moved out here, I was like, I don't care how things look like or how my apartment will look like, I need to be by the beach. And so that was one of my non-negotiables, right, when I made that move. So just like being able to walk in nature and have that moment to myself. I also, for sure, do, like, this is something that I do religiously, no matter what. It's the first hour of the day I do not look at my phone. And if I do, it's to listen to podcasts, do meditation, do my gratitude ritual, talk to God, and that's super important because that sets the tone for your day. So it doesn't matter what, you know, where you are in your journey or your industry or whatnot, this is something that you need to do, because if you step out in the world and you haven't checked in with yourself, it's like, what's your reflection? Like, who are you? What are you doing? You're just a walking body, right? You have to check in with yourself before you actually out and you go the world.
For me, I'm also a morning ritual person. I feel like, as an entrepreneur, I will say that the appeal was time freedom as opposed to being able to do whatever I want with my time is really important to me. So I like to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and then go do shit. I like to see my daughter smile and say, hey, good morning, sis. What to do today? And read and, you know, connect with myself first. I always tell people, beyond God and your needs, you should come first, always. So having that represented in my routine where I take time to read, pray, meditate, drink water, make sure I take my vitamins, and taking that extra minute to make sure that I check off things my list is really, really important. I literally can't function without it. I can't engage with y'all without it. I can't stop chatter in my mind without it. I think as creatives, we have 100 things going on, right? I have to create this, do that, provide that for this person, be that person for that. And we gotta slow it down. And the morning time is just a really good time to do that. So that's okay.
And I just want to thank Donnie and thank Danny. I've only known them to be a clubhouse, so to be in space, literally, three-dimensionally. It's really exciting. So my self-care looks like what you just saw. I have to laugh to keep from crying. Like, this is for me. My art is for me first. And it's selfish, but also selfless. Because I know that what I want to see in the world also means there's other people who want to see themselves in the world. So either one, they want to see what I do, or they want to see me do what I do because it affirms that they can then do what they want to do too. Or all of the above, multiple choice. We're not going to fail this this standardized test here called being not together, right? We're going to pass, right? And literally that's what I do. I pass the baton. That is my version of self-care. Like whatever God has given me in 24 hours in a day, we live in a world of Wi-Fi, running water, and flushing toilets, okay? And we are so blessed by so many other standards that we take for granted because we live in America, right? So in this 24 hours that I have in a day, I am so blessed, I'm so grateful, and I remind myself of that first. I can flip on a light. 2/3 of the world cannot do that. There's people in this country who can't afford that. And you can, boom, I sort out of that. Basic. Mommy, embryo, zygote, something happened where I am on this planet today. And I think about that, and I thank all of that. That's when I wake up. Whoa. Then after that, I do my affirmations of like who I am and who I want to be, and I try to like shrink that to I am that right now. I am entertaining, engaging, informing, inspiring millions of people around the world to end racism and use of humor. So that is like done. That's like within 8 minutes of garbage rollout, right? So then there is a third because again, if you eat properly, you shouldn't have to have it. That's another judgment. I'm not judging. Okay, that's also self-care, eating healthy, eat really, really healthy. Oh, people are dying because of anything, so it doesn't look like this does. Because if you are a hypocrite to yourself, if you are lying to yourself and saying it doesn't matter, even though you know it does matter, that erodes you and your self-conscious and how you show up in all other aspects of your life. So if you know that what you're doing is wrong and you still continue to do it, for something small, for something major, so I try to I'm right, I start off, I eat really healthy food, shit first in the morning, not a hypocrite to myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many iterations of my life can I say I'm in alignment with who I say I want to be? That's my self-care practice. Am I a hypocrite? Can I look at myself in the mirror and say, boom, done, God, I'm in alignment. You gave me these gifts, I'm putting it back out there, woo, like Street Fighter, okay, got that ball of energy. Like that's my self-care. So it's not a in the morning, it's a lifestyle of really fundamentally, if I am not a hypocrite to myself, I'm doing okay. And that includes eating, that includes breathing, that includes friends I hang around, text messages I don't respond to. Am I a hypocrite to myself? And once you go from there, then everything is up. Because you're already light. You're not weighed down by your own ignorance. Love your life.
Yeah, it's great to hear that you have so many practices for yourself, and what I like to call it is a self-care toolkit. There can be many practices that we can tune into to enhance our lifestyles, but being a creative entrepreneur and then having many other projects on the side or having full-time employment on the side, it could get really hectic. So could you give us a little insight on what it feels like when you're not practicing self-care and what a lack of self-care looks like to your creative practice?
Again, very transparent. It gets very messy.
So for me, when I look at the state of my apartment, and I know that when it's messy, I know that I didn't set my priorities right. I didn't put myself first, and I didn't do my, check my to-do-list. So I'm a big believer in how you do one thing is how you do everything. And initially I didn't buy that. I was like, no. But in reality, yes, because I think it's a little bit of what you were saying as well, is not lying to yourself and not being hypocrite to yourself and just look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, am I doing my best every single day? Your best one day is not going to be your best the next day, right? It's just about doing your best every single day. But yeah, how does that look like? It looks very messy. I get, personally, I get very foggy, I get drained, and I just can't focus. So this is when I'm like, okay, I need to sit down, I need to put what I call putting my brain on paper, because sometimes we hold on to thoughts and worries that have nothing to do with your business, but that holds back your creativity. To help me with that will be tapping into my feminine energy. So like everything around art, so for me it's been dancing, walking, or just getting in movement, but mostly dancing.
Messy is an understatement. For me, how do I do this? We create our own mess, so even when we're messy, we're still creating. I think that for me personally, I don't want to get out of bed. Let me go back. The opposite of self-care is self-care. And that's exactly what it looks like. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to interact. I don't want to create. I don't want to engage with anything. It's like a complete disconnect. I could relate to the messy room. I could relate to not drinking my water and, being mean to the cashier at Publix because she didn't bag my wine right. I don't know. I try not to be that really. And I agree with what Samaya said, like your best one day might not be your best the next day. It's not going to be the same. But I think in creating those habits, it reminds me of like the discipline and focus I have on things, right? So if I can create and minister and produce for other people, I want to be able to do that for myself. And self-care always comes first. And I tell my kids this all the time. If I'm not okay, we're not okay. So I need to get okay so I can be okay for you. And just taking those 60 seconds to just kind of breathe and through things is so important. It's helped me with my mental health, my clarity, and how I take care of myself, how I show up for myself.
Yay! So what does not self-care look like? I mean, to be honest with you, I'm sitting here also still posting promoting community Black people. So that is self-care. That's not being good for there's also but again, liberation hustler, right? So I'm on Instagram trying to post on Instagram, and shout out to the state. I'm literally looking at this right now. $3.8 million estate is settled. White gets 1.15 million. The family gets 1.5 million. The government gets 1.5 million, and the rest will go over to a trust probate court to 900,000. So sometimes unself-care looks like you're so bored off. Like this is clearly divine, like right now. Okay, I will take a screenshot. Okay? Sometimes unself-care looks like you're so into it in terms of my art and my mission and my intention. I'm an artiste. Yeah, but you didn't do the paperwork. We live in America, we live in a system, right? And the default is they're gonna take your money. They're not gonna take you seriously, they will take your money. So at some point in time, unself-care can look like not having your paperwork done. I get the messy part of it. Not getting the paperwork done, right? Feeling so spiraling out of control that, you eat things that you you shouldn't eat. I'm not really guilty of that, but Ben and Jerry's different. But seriously, like, unself-care for me looks like not posting more on social media because I'm a perfectionist and I'm like, it doesn't look this, it doesn't look that. People are like,
get the carpet together on 10 look. If it's not enough lights, then it is not eyebrow. Right? So self-care for me, that's not done, looks like not being in alignment with my goal of entertaining, engaging, performing, inspiring millions, because I'm in my head about it. That's not what my audience really wants to see. You don't know what you don't know until you see it. So that's, it's also arrogance on my part to say, I'm a curator to be the most perfect version of me that I'm older, right? So self-care can also look like getting out of your own way in terms of what you value, because the things that you can program to value might not actually be congruent with what other people value. And sometimes you're most raw, honest, which is my non-self-care sometimes you're most raw, honest, vulnerable, unkempt, not put together, messy, whatever it is the thing that will get you where you need to go. So that's, I'm talking to myself, I see some heads nodding. I wanna piggyback off of what Khadija said, because you spoke smart. I will say, as an administrative manager, whatever, that's why I exist, because a lot of creators don't take care of themselves that way. And we are the culture, we are the originators, we are the creators. So the more we hold on to that and our legacy, and make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's, we are not only providing self-care for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children, all the generations that we have to take care of. It's so important for us to do that. And I think with working with creatives who are, I gotta write this song, I gotta do this TV appearance, I gotta do all this stuff. Yes, but you also have to make sure that you're around to enjoy the fruits of your labor, and that your children are around to see you do that. So I think it's so important for self-care. If you can't handle the paperwork, hire somebody to do it. My best piece of advice is I pay for the things that I don't want. I say this all the time. Pay for the things you don't want to do, right? And you don't know how to do. Again, it's about time, freedom, more than financial freedom. Sometimes we let the love of our creativity drown itself in financial wellness, that we don't take our time to make sure we're doing what we have to do. So thank you.
There's highs and lows in life, and it's not always going to look picture perfect. And we may have expectations for how our day may go out or how one may go out, but then life will hit you. And so, I would say something that creative entrepreneurs do deal with is that perfectionism and also battling time, because we have so many different projects that we're working on. You may have late nights, early mornings. Could you talk about a time or a project where you were struggling to take care of yourself, and what did that look like? What happened? And if you knew what you know now, what would you do? It's a big one.
If I knew what I know now, what would I have done differently? So in 2019, well, I was married in 2019 and divorced. I kind of like started from scratch on my family here, whatever. And I had to I was a full-time personal trainer at the time, and I was still developing my business at the time. And I was trying to find a way to start online coaching. So I was like doing all these things plus doing dancing, and I had shows and music videos. I had a lot at the same time, and I was working part-time and stuff. So because like now that I look back at that, I'm like, nothing was wrong in that time. The only thing is like, yes, I was overwhelmed, I was tired, and I was overbooked, but in the end, it was part of the journey. Therefore, to become, I had to go through that journey. But at that time, I felt like it's not where I should be. I felt like this is not right. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing that. This is, And when you look back, so now today, if I have that mindset, I'll be like, this is temporary. It's temporary, and it's gonna be worth it. And then just finish the whole, like just go through the journey. But I did burn out. But I think the burnout was not more so because of the fact that I was doing too much. It was because I was too much in my head. So same thing as, being perfectionist or whatever. I was getting invited to events sometimes, like such as this one. I was like, no, I can't make it because I didn't feel like I was, good enough or whatever. And so that takes a lot of energy from you because we are, as creators or entrepreneurs or whatnot, right? I believe we all do it in abundance to create experiences. We believe in law of attraction, we want to go and do things, but it's like when those things actually happen, then we have resistance towards them. And that resistance creates being overwhelmed and, being drained and all that stuff because those are emotions, again, resistance, those are emotions that are not in alignment with what we're doing. So it's like, I felt like at that moment I was going towards something, and along the way I met opportunities that I didn't take on because I have resistance of the fact that I'm not supposed to be here. I don't think there has to be one person. So that's what
That was good. And then it was really something because we were talking about becoming that person. I think I grew up in New York, so I'm a sucker for over positivity. I feel like if I'm not doing anything, if I'm not in the project, if I'm not taking the contract, if I'm not producing, I'm not okay. And that was a very false way of thinking about it. So what I say now is even when I'm rusty, work is still getting done. And I manifest that as well. So I'm like third party everything. I'll Instagram my groceries because yes, I deserve that. I think I create at my best when my world is okay. So I facilitate that and I make the money so I can pay for the thing. But I make sure that I'm well rested because I can't think clearly if I'm not. And I think we take rest for granted sometimes. We just are so down over productivity. People don't even think we think. Sometimes we just sit and literally do nothing. You ever had a minute where you just did nothing, you thought about nothing? And when I started meditating, that was my biggest hurdle that I had to get over. Because I'm like, how the fuck do you sit and not think about nothing? Like, I've never done that before. It's a new experience. And silencing the creator made the creator better. So, yeah, that's my answer.
So the question was a time, so you're talking about regrets, you're talking about time.
Like a time or a project where you didn't perform your best, and if you knew what you do now, how would you do it differently?
Well, I'm gonna answer the question with a question, right? First of all, who are you, right? Who is it you that you define yourself to be a success or not be a success? What is your definition of success and not being? What is showing up as your best self, right? Because let's say you show up as your best self and it don't work out. Was that out of your control? Was it things that you didn't realize, that you couldn't realize? Was it self-sabotage? There's a lot that goes into the matrix of a success or not that we then beat ourselves up about or then get excited about. And it's like, well, there's a lot more to it than I have this idea. I'm gonna put it out to the world and sink or swim, right? Usually my shows sell out, people lose their minds. And my last show I did was at Joe's Pub, which is a public theater, very interesting venue, sold the shit out, 11:30 at night, it was like 21 degrees with wind chill 12. I was celebrating the last 30 minutes of BlackIssuesISSUES Magazine. I mean, someone has to do that. They billed it as the biggest celebration of the last 30 minutes of BlackIssuesISSUES Magazine in the history of the city. That was it. Sold it out. People probably got COVID because it was literally a few days before everything shut down. And I was supposed to be in Southwest and BlackIssuesISSUES, which is what I do. You're supposed to be in Southwest, and that got canceled. And I was like, dang. That was the biggest year ever in terms of content creation, in terms of using humor to be able to do I remember the museum, I met a lot of people also when I was there, sold out too.
security was involved. Like usually my shows are like, what the hell is going on? So this was supposed to be like national, Black issues, what? And I was so in my integrity about not wanting to exploit or be tone deaf to the amount of people that are dying because of COVID that I didn't do any content. That was the #1 time Z-Way doing little Instagram, then got her show on Showtime. But the whole time I was like, what is my tone gonna be? I can't just be some character. People were dying. Like, so for so long, and then when I finally did do content, people were like ecstatic. Because then I was like, I got out of my way and I was like, all right. But see, it's like, the alignment sometimes is like these conditions in your head that you then think, okay, I'll do this now. And you could have done that 2 months ago. But then sometimes you fall back and you have to stay silent so you regroup and you come back more powerful. So I watched Z-Way go, shoot, time 100 people, something. And I was like, okay. So what I ended up doing to turn the failure or something in my head into success is I had a whole bunch of emoji pills for this other show that I did. And I was like, I'm gonna narrate the news through emoji pillows. So while everybody's looking at all the press conferences about bending the curve and how many people are dying, I was like, oh, face emoji. And then when like George Floyd and people were burning down the police station, I was like, oh, shock face emoji. So it then all like literally, and like, I was like, oh, you're Chris Biden on his high horse, same thing, high horse. So like literally, and I had a poop emoji, my whole bullshit. I can call all this bullshit way before I was like, yo, watch. He's using COVID as a cover for all the shenanigans and shit. So I was like, poop, shit. Trump, you know, I have a flying pig emoji, I have the pigs are flying right now from the summer to use bleach. So, you know, so it's like, I think the infinite creativity can counteract whatever failure that you think you have if you just dig in deeper and trust yourself. And like listen to the craziest idea and not edit it. So that's what I did. I went from oh my God, I can't be silly. If people are dying, so no, I'm gonna do the silliest thing. I literally in my living room with a master's education with poop emoji. And people loved it. And if it wasn't for you, I'd lose my mind because I'm not gonna watch news, but I'd watch news for you, then you would explain to us what we were thinking, but we don't want to say it out loud. Then I'm fucking say that shit. It's just fucking crazy. Then the pigs are flying, and they were like, yes, pigs are flying. Yes, police agents are murdered. Yes! For the blacks.
Yeah, it's been so crazy actually. Everything that you've been bringing up, I relate to because I also started this creative practice in response to the pandemic, and I was about to have my biggest year in 2020, and I had so much momentum, and I had to start operating virtually, and that was difficult for me. And you know, I want to thank everybody for inviting me to be here today because it reminded me of my purpose and why I started this journey. I would say that this past year for me has been very difficult because I moved. It's my first time having long-term full-time employment, and I'm also in grad school. And so with all those different components of my life, I really let go of my creativity and my artistry. And that's what my self-care practice is centered on. So I just wanted to learn, was there ever a time?
Let's clap it up for that. Getting back on track. Let's clap it up for that. And let us know the name of your studio.
Yes, thank you. So my name, the name of my studio is The Remedy Studios. You can follow us at The Remedy Studios, and you can find me at Samia A. Malik. It's SAMIYAHAMALAK.
Let's
So,
go.
I was saying, was there ever a time that you had to put yourself first and turn down a creative project and just prioritize something?
I say no more than I say yes, because saying no to one thing is saying yes to me. And again, I come first. And I told my kids that too, so nobody feels like problems. Things are always going to come. The right opportunity will, like, you'll feel it in your gut if it's the right one, if it's the one that you need to say yes to. I feel that, again, a lot of people have strong no's for themselves, but stronger yeses for other people. And that's when you get into compromising yourself and who you are, right? And being honest with yourself. That's a very important question. I think there's so many things, and mind you, I am a yes person, again, but I say yes to myself constantly. Because if I say yes to myself, the universe is a yes to everything. If you're asking the universe, if you're telling the universe I can't do it, I'm not gonna show up, I'm gonna be late, you know, a car accident's gonna happen, you're gonna attract that shit to yourself. The universe is gonna be like, yes, here you go, here's some shit, right? But I think that constant conversation of saying yes to my needs, my wants, my well-being, my mental wellness is just really, really important. And I know it answers the question in a broad scale, because NDAs I don't get too specific with certain things, but I encourage that, to have that freedom of yes for yourself. And be very stingy with it, hold on to it, because it's yours, you earned it. And yeah, you deserve it. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's a teacher. Say yes to yourself, right? Right? We talk about consent. And sometimes we don't even have consent with our own selves. It's so crazy, right? Now, sexual consent. What about yourself? Like, girl, why are you yourself? You pick yourself up at that call. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a $2, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're 2,000. And I'm not sharing sex with. In terms of like no's, like I think, you know, I do diversity training and I do content Black issues, so I can't really say any particular client that I've said no to. But on the diversity side, I say no all the time to companies that they just want a little darky to sit there and tell them everything's okay. I'm telling the truth. That's a fact. And they don't want you to actually hold them accountable. They don't want you to actually walk them through concepts. They just want a pretty face, go click, 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 click on the slideshow and go, okay, thank you. And I don't want to do that. I don't want my name attached to that. I don't want my legacy attached to that for 400 years. Fuck your $4,000. Okay? So that's my non-negotiable. If you're not serious, then I'm not serious. Period. On the entertainment, Black issues, when I do actual performances side, I do that. My conditions are documentation. Money, but also documentation. Logistics. Because if I do this amazing thing, and usually what I do is very interactive, I will never have access to what was said in real time to what I said again. How dare you? So as soon as I step foot in somewhere, that's why I brought my iPad. I was like, right, boom, done. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as it's captured, right? Like, we need it. It's passing the baton. Someone needs to hear what's being said right now. How can we make sure that happens? Right? Video is everything now. People don't read. So, video, photography, and then also admin. If I see that there's too many like loose things that I gotta ask too many questions, I go immediately. Because once I'm not clear when you do the initial, then that means it's not going to be clear all the way to the end. Because closer to the show date and the show time, all these other things are gonna happen, right? Electricity, you get sick, all kinds of different things. So when in your ideal state of, I'm so excited about that idea, I'm so excited about you coming in to help me, you know, execute this idea. If you can't give me ABC 1, 2, 3, X, Y, Z real clear, and I got an admin for you, because I can admin. I used to run whole apartments. Like, I know, you go to pillows, you know, I used to be the director of history, okay? I used to be the director of arts, of whole programs. So if I feel like I gotta work for you to help you then do what you say you wanna do, and you're not gonna pay me for that, and then I still gotta be me on 89, then my bandwidth is short. So that to me is the key. Documentation and admin. If you don't have that, you don't have a show, you don't have an event, you don't, because again, it's like, it's not the event. The event can have 20 people, but the video can be 20,000. And that's how you continue to have more momentum and more supporters and more people to value and marry more brands to something that they think they need. That's what it is. It's just building that connection, that bandwidth of, you can get me live, you can get me archive, you can get me t-shirt, that's how it starts.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I want to share this so just to be mindful of that. Thank you everyone for their minutes here today, and there are a series of panels today, so I hope you can stick around and it's on the gallery as well. I wanted to acknowledge that we talked about a lot of difficult things today, and I hope that you picked up a few gems from these amazing individuals. I wanted to end the conversation on a positive note. So if everyone could go around and share what healing through the arts means to them.
So my art is dance, and I always felt like that's the fourth language I speak. So I know I'm good at making people feel good through dancing.
What does healing through the arts mean to them?
Okay, I feel it's really connecting with yourself, whatever you're attracted to, whether it's like actual painting, singing, whatever your art is, whatever your craft is, this thing calls you to practice it, right? And that gets to, because dance can be a thing for me, but it cannot be a thing for you. But the way I practice dance, you can be inspired because you get to do your craft, if that makes sense. So it's really like embodying your craft and what you're called for, if that makes sense. I hope I explained that
For me, my art is admin. No, I will say, for me, I believe that my contribution allows creators to be a vessel and express themselves freely. And there's a lot of self-care in that. There's a lot of healing in that. Because I'm a healer, I'm a vibe, I'm a force to be reckoned with. And I empower people to express themselves the way they want to without having to worry about the shit that they don't need to. And I think that is healing for me. How we are all in this room, we're all little particles in somebody's sand, right? But together we build bricks. And I think the more we can facilitate that for each other and for ourselves, we may create a better place. If I leave here with anything, again, we are all creators. We make things happen, make things shake, even when we're sitting still. So I encourage you to stay inspired, stay creative, and stay healing other than yourself.
Bring home Brian and kill your stare. Stare, right? All this thing, right? All this energy, right? I have a lot more energy than I have right now. Like I have to contain myself because I'm really trying to help you already. So I think logic is dead. Creativity is infinite. I think getting on an academic level, and you could literally shut down and say no. At some point in time, your cognitive dissonance, your conditioning is going to say no. I don't agree. No. But you're not willing to change. Because it's logic. Logic is dead. But creativity is infinite. Well, that's why clowns work. Seriously. Because it's like, what do you have to do? And in that state of wonder, you break from logic. So creativity and wonder and awe and pauses and silences
and said, let's play. In our Western societies, they diminish play. They make play seem like, oh, who has time for that? Oh, no, work, clock in, clock out, productivity. It's a lie. The power lies in the play. The power lies in the creativity. That's why you're taking all those creators now. Right? Right?
It's a creator economy.
That's right. Because the tech pros can't do that. So they need us to pimp their tech with our creativity, which is infinite.
Message.
User-generated content. So logic is dead. Creativity is infinite. So that's my self-care. To lean into that. Last time, so like I heard the other day, I said, I don't remember, and he hit me. Because they know that when I do Black Issues, I say I'm for all the blacks. I'm for the freckle face blacks, I'm for the bow tie blacks, I'm for the do-rag blacks, I'm for all the blacks. But then I wrote down one time and I said, I'm not for the Pikachu car blacks, because that's what happens in Harlem. I love Harlem. Okay, it's sad. You say in the middle of the day, it's like, oh, here you go. You know, and I'm like, at some point, like, if that's your car, you don't want that, right? And then I heard this, I don't know who he was, but he was like, you never know when that person who's on drugs or hormones or whatever it is, that when you use your art therapy, that could wake them. No. And I'm like, yeah, because I do that. I do community outreach, but in that moment, I was like, the logic of me is like, nah, it's done. It's in they got their teeth, their fingers, their kidneys. The logic of me, I'm serious. But the creativity in me is like, yes. There's still a little child in there that's real broken, real hard, everything. But you could still do something, and it's like, ooh, you see the behavior. So that's the power of art. You could logically tell them, stop doing drugs, put down that crack pipe, and nothing. But you can just be like, yo, what? And then like flash a card or something. Do you think it's an ace? And they will try to figure out if it's an ace. And then you got them. Got them for that second to not feed the drugs. You got them feeding to find the right answer. Logic is dead, creativity is infinite. I love you, Black.
I love everything that you have shared today, and I wanted to let y'all know you can follow all of them. We are on the Love Bomb Room. If you look up Love Bomb Room, you'll find everyone's tag there. And just connect and support these creatives, and connect with the creativity within yourself, and go home and practice self-care and practice self-love, and love on yourself and love on others. And just, we're so grateful for everyone to be here today, and we hope that you continue to practice your affirmations, your gratitude, and your meditation. And thank you again.
Is there like a Q&A session?
We did want to do a Q&A, but because there's another panel after this, we're just going to have to wrap up.
You can catch them after.
Yeah, go ahead and talk to us.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, go ahead and say your experience. Yeah. So, we're looking around. I'm looking back. So, Bagani, shout out to Bagani, please. And the coolest artist. So, Miami Art Basel did it. So, Black Issues on all platforms. Black Issues Twitter, Black Issues TikTok, Black Issues Instagram. We're trying to get to whatever the 1,000 followers is on YouTube so I can monetize. So please follow Black Issues on the YouTube. This is me doing self-care and advocating because this gives me anxiety. I can do everything but advocate. Okay. So Black Issues on all platforms. Black Issues. And sometimes solutions. Sometimes it is a solution.
Yay!
Love you all.
Danny Woods everywhere. Period. Danny Woods. Danny.
Wills, W-I-L-S-S. Wood.
Willis, right?
Wood.
B-L-Y.
Woods.
Woods.
Yeah, this stuff on there, I guess.
And then rhymes with Maya, so just rhymes W to Maya.
All right.
Well, thank you again, everyone. And I'll hand it over to Bagani.
Hey, everyone, thank you all.
Around, we have a whole, number of panels and other things happening.
do it. I'm gonna advocate on behalf of Ghana because she won't ask. Please donate to her Cash App. It is Ghani, BIGHANI.
So there's a GoFundMe too, right?
And there's a GoFundMe. So check out the site, the Love on Room, Enhancing the Compliments. It's on there. You need donations, you take it all.
Yeah.
We're gonna get set up for panel number 2.
Thank you guys. So everybody start getting ready for panel number 2. Have a seat because people got places to go, things to get, so. Art Basel. So just have a seat and listen to our clients. Alright, everybody have a seat. We're gonna start in number 2. Everyone have a seat. We're gonna start in number 2. Thank you so much for your patience. We also want to thank the fearless artists. And please thank you, the fearless artists, Ashley, Maggie, we want to give honor because you always got to respect and give praise where due. I was having a difficult time finding a venue for our first Art Basel. And Uncut Art, actually, my bro, Uncut Art, told me about the fearless artists. But there was so much going on that it completely skipped my mind, and another person in red told me about you guys. And you know, I called Kiki. She was like, I normally don't pick up my phone. And then I got on the Zoom call with Maggie Boss, who's the director of the Fearless Artists, and they were gracious enough to offer us this space. So we're very thankful. And tell us my community about your movie.
Thanks, y'all. So great to have you here in our space. My name is Maggie Walsh. I'm the Director of Operations here at the Fearless Artists. Welcome to TFA Pop-Up Gallery. This is our 8th year being here during TFA. And we're really excited. We have 40 artists on display in this gallery space here today. They come from all over the world. We have digital. We have all of the artwork you see up on the walls. Even some of our students, we do our business education programs, teaching young curators and creatives how to get their work seen, shared, and sold. So thank you all for being here. Big thank you to Bigani as well. We're so happy to have you in the space. If you're interested in purchasing a piece, come find someone with a lanyard, and we will be happy to do that for you. Let's support the arts, support creativity, and thank you for being here.
And the bartender, as I said, my community is more like a family, although we're a pretty big deal in our own right, in our own path. And we gotta repeat that. Like, these people who I curated for each panel, I look up to these people. Everybody on panel 1, I look up to everyone on panel 1. Panel number 2, I look up to everybody on panel 2. They're geniuses in my mind. They're geniuses in our community, and the world just has to catch up. I mean, if you do some research on these people, they're a pretty big deal. So I'm gonna let OK set it off and have them introduce themselves. I respect these people so much. So really listen to the gem that they got to drop because they inspired me. So I know the gem that they drop is gonna inspire you as well. You got it!
And keep in mind that this is like the first time that a lot of us have met each other.
Yes,
Right?
say that.
Right? And there's some mindfulness in that, like, the fact that, we have been learning about this new technology and, pushing forward in the space. All of these people I look up to, I actually have seen your work all over the streets of New York, and, I haven't met you on Clubhouse, but admire what you do as well. And so for us to like be together in this space, talking about not just the technology that we've experienced, but also, how are we balancing in this space with people that I really look up to. I'm like really like trying not to like fan out too much. I'm honored to speak with all of you and to meet Adriana. So this is a that we're covering called Metaverse. I wanted to ask you all, each individually, what it is that you all do, and what does Metaverse technology do?
Art.
Sorry.
We can have a good conversation.
Yes.
Yes, my name is Art, and I am a creator, visionary, philosopher. I'm very good at that. And I create those stuff. And that's it. So I ask you a question.
Yes.
What is the question?
That was perfect. No, it was what do you do and what is Metaverse technology to you?
To me, because I'm very multi-verse, it's not just me, it's multiple of me, so it's different aspects of metaverse for me. So the first thing with me with metaverse is always, for me it's always about spirit, it's always about energy. So when it comes to metaverse, in comparison to my work with energy, it's a little bit very it takes away from what work we're doing in real life, in real time. So personally, from a spiritual perspective, I don't think that we are ready for the metaverse, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know, let me rephrase that. I know we're not ready for the metaverse, right? From a spiritual perspective. Now, from a creative perspective, shit, we'll take this shit, put it in our hands, shoot it out, spit it out. We got that. That's nothing. We can take that and do anything with it, which is what we're doing with it. But from a spiritual perspective, we are not keeping that connection connected. So we're not really seeing the value of the metaverse in order for us to utilize it and move into a future. That's all the answers from all my questions.
Thank you for that. Renita, over to you.
All right, now you're able to hear me. Thank you, Ope. And I have to say, anytime I hear Ope say it, I'm nervous, I love this. This does so much service in the community, so much service. Ope is one of the reasons why I even got into the universe and really wanted to start looking at this alternate space. And so for anyone that I haven't met, my name is Rita Adele. I'm an anti-racist speaker and strategist. I help individuals and brands tackle this thing called race so that we can maximize our global impact and ensure all communities have an opportunity to thrive. And there's a couple ways that I do that. Yes, there's the speaking, yes, there is the consulting work, but I was so excited to talk about mindfulness and self-care in the metaverse because I think this is an uncharted, really feel very much an uncharted territory that we're at the beginning at. that can allow us to connect with people that we might otherwise never meet. I think it's incredibly important to have diverse voices in the metaverse. It's incredibly important to create space for Black people to shine, to thrive in the metaverse. It is there is, without intention, so much opportunity for the metaverse to simply replicate what we experience as people of color on a day-to-day basis in the real world. So how do we do it differently in the metaverse? And then fashion is a piece of that. So to quickly share, I wrote an article at the end of 2020 calling out systemic racism at Magazine, more specifically, and the Hearst Corporation. And part of that work was diving into the history of the exploitation of our Black star power by white brands to sell more products and services, but they're not actually invested in us. But they do that because Black people are the definitive hot sauce on an otherwise bland white America. And so you'll see, as I go throughout the panel today, I'll share a little bit more about this idea of Black people are America's hot sauce. And it's created anti-racist platforms, it's created merch collections, but it's created an opportunity to have a conversation about how do we now fully realize the monetary impact of our creative and cultural contributions in this country and around the world. Black people are America's hot sauce.
Oh, yeah, before I want to definitely give Madonna her flowers, because like, she gives us our flowers, our compliments, but like, she puts together these really those faces and brings us together, man. Like, she's a genius in her own right, and an amazing person. Also, Ope, because I don't know if y'all know, Ope is like super dope and super humble. Ope, she built me a comedy club in the metaverse. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? She built a comedy club for me to perform with my homies, and she showed my movie. So I did stand up in the metaverse in the comedy club that she built, and then we showed my movie. Like, it was insane. So, okay, you're so dope.
Let's go.
Yeah, great. This panel is just amazing. Everybody on here is like, I'm a big fan as well. But my name is Melania Sacker. I'm a stand-up comedian, author, 3D animator. Pronouns are that nigga. In fact, but what I like to do, man, I like to take comedy and inspire and like create dope stories. When I got on Clubhouse with a lot of those men on Clubhouse, I started making audio dramas. I do like 17 audio dramas. Our most popular one is Throw Baby Musical. If you guys heard it, you should check it out. It's amazing. But yeah, I just like to challenge myself and inspire myself to inspire myself. I like to challenge myself to just, push myself creatively, using comedy, and I love connecting people. As far as the metaverse, I look at it as an opportunity to just, find your tribe and to express yourself, So when I wasn't getting booked, at comedy clubs, Obey built one for me. And we did a comedy show in the metaverse, in VR. And, those are the things that I'm excited about, when it comes to the metaverse is, you just being able to find your people, you know what I'm saying? I'm in Lowe's rooms all the time, like, and sometimes I just be in the audience just listening to him talk, because he just dropped something in the gym. Same thing with Obey, for me the same way, so, that's what I just get excited about with the metaverse. It's just like, you can find your people, and you can express yourself the way you want to. So, thank you.
Woo!
All right. Hi, I just wanted to say I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm so happy to be on this panel and meet some new folks who I haven't connected with and connect with old friends. And my name is Jessica Brockman. I'm primarily an energy healer. So I've worked as an energy healer, Reiki and shamanism, and for a long time in stand-up comedy, and I have an NFT collection that I created of mystical, magical women. So that's my background, but the metaverse is incredibly interesting, and I think that it's really important for thoughtful people with integrity to be in the beginning of technology. Because a lot of times technology can get in the wrong hands and exploit people. And so the metaverse has incredible opportunities for us to have huge audiences, for us to create new worlds, to connect with people all over the world, to I do sound baths in real life in New York City and virtually, and I was like, I want to do sound baths in the metaverse. I want to, stand up in the metaverse. The things that I just normally do, I just have it grow, but at the same time, we have to be very careful in terms of when thoughtful people need technology, technology can be a force for good and not a force for exploitation. So I think it's really important.
I am Lil Susie. I'm a rapper, painter, restaurateur, shit talker. I started this thing called Blockchain Gospel on Clubhouse, where we just tried to teach people the basics, right? I'm not an expert in anything. I know a little bit about a lot of things, and we just try to create space for people to teach each other and teach themselves how to learn. And blockchain, I think, blockchain technology is I like to call it, I give lockpicks to slaves, right? I'm not gonna take the chain off you, but I'll teach you how to take it off you, right? And then it's up to you whether you want to wear the chains or not. So, but I think that the choice is important. And what the metaverse, for me personally, is, you know how we always say, if I knew then what I know now? I feel like Web3 is a rehash of us, a lot of us when we were younger, and the internet was coming. And I feel like now I know. Right? So now I know. Now it's time for me to make my great-grandkids rich. Right? So that's what it means to me.
Off of that note, what the Web3 space can do, how has it been transformative? And in us finding yeah, so in us finding the transformative medium of Web 2, a lot of people don't even understand what that means, right? Web 2 was what we were doing with the internet before. It's the internet that we've always known. But this Web 3 space, there are going to be so many things coming at us, right? It's going to be kind of hard for people to handle a little bit, right? So that's where this conversation becomes important of what is the mindfulness of that. First of all, what could be considered, and I don't want to scare anyone, right? But what is that thing that you sometimes think like you have to actually like pull back and be mindful of from that web that you came from Web 2, you're now into Web 3. What is it Web 3 for you? And then what is that thing that helps you to kind of stay focused, pull back, and like be mindful of?
It's funny. This week is made me have a revelation too, right? The thing that I think that most of us are running from in Web 3 is the algorithm, right? We're tired of being told what we want to hear repeatedly until we don't know what else is going on.
Did everybody say amen or what?
You know what I'm saying? We were talking the other day in the room, and we said that AI doesn't mean artificial intelligence; it means algorithmically induced. Right? It's the force feeding of a mindset that we're running away from, right? And if decentralization is the mindset we want, that means my mindset can be different from yours, from yours, from yours, from yours. But it doesn't matter because we're just moving in the direction of freedom, right? And I think that if we, like she said, in the beginning of this transformative space, if we can set those blocks now, they'll be set in stone and you can't move it, right? Just like you can't move for profit. You cannot shake capitalists out of, well, I ain't making money, I ain't going. You just can't. So if we can make the next generation feel like, no, if it's not right, it's not right, then that's how it's going. That's what I'm doing. I'm not a friendly person. Right? No, but this is important. I'm not a friendly person, but I really believe that as long as everybody else is free, then I can slip under the radar and be as free as I can be. So it's important for me for everybody to be free, not just people that look like me.
Anyone can jump in.
So first, I haven't been on the Web3 as much as I was when I first came into Clubhouse. The only reason why I came is because the people needed the meditation, they needed that space, and I had to create it. And that was the space I was allowed to create that space from Instagram. And when he said about the algorithm, it's literally what my soul is not even around with. And I'm so aligned with my soul that I just get driven away from it. Number one, these are some of my favorite people on that platform. And when I came here today, I had no idea who the fuck they were. I saw something, and then I really was looking at him like, yo, I know this guy. And he's one of my favorite dudes, and we linked up in Miami like a few years back. So for me, for that, I not remember. It's like Web3 to me is just not real until it's real. You know, and to everybody that converses with me on any internet platform, when we meet, we want to have to do this over because what's on the internet, to me, stays there because it's not real. And we lost that aspect of trying to make the internet real, but it's not real. So it's like you can't force something to be something that is not. When we really have something that we really have, which is the real. So a lot of times, that's what I've, like, from listening to a lot of these situations, it kind of tells me why I move the way I move. I'm like, okay, that's why. Oh, okay, that's why when we go, oh, yeah, that kind of describes me because I want to tell everybody out here that when I gave him that hug, it really, I really felt like it should have been longer.
Well, here's another thing to that. Vanny was saying something about everybody being like we're all individual particles, but we all fill the same box, right? We fill same boxes. When we meet in metaverse platforms, it allows us to have a global audience, right? I'm meeting people that I would never have met in my house. I would have never met because one, I'm a loner, and I normally keep to myself. I go to work and I, come home and I'm shut, I know my family and I know my friends who are both here supporting me. Thank you again, everybody. But I'm just saying that I would never know David. I would never know she's here. I would never know Vogue. All these people, I would know them. Which I would know Lachey. All of these people, Bigani, like these are people that, and Vanny, sorry. I know Vanny from Clubhouse. I would never have known these people, and some of them I've met inside of the metaverse, right? So, I mean, this is actually, and we said this, actually, like, touch, right? Because Kane always says you gotta touch the grass, right? But the metaverse expands your reach. That's the important thing. And even that is mindfulness. I would not have this platform. You would not have this meeting, a meeting of minds like this in any other space if it were not for the metaverse. So it does have it has an origin point, but at some point I agree that it's good to connect and meet and touch and hug. Like people are giving me big hugs. I just know these people on metaverse platforms and audio platforms. Like this has been a real connection, soul to soul connection. That's started in metaverse.
Well, I think that, as it pertains to the metaverse, just like in general, you just need to be mindful of the energy that you invite into your space. You know what I'm saying? So you go on Clubhouse. I love but you can get whatever you want on Clubhouse. If you want to ratchet shit, you can do that. But, same way with Miami, right? We can be at this panel right here, we can go to the beach and watch some art. We can go to KOD and throw some dollars. Like, that can happen, so, but, as long as I think we have to just be mindful, and intentional of what we actually want, to invite into our space. And we do that, you know, I think your experience can be relatively good for the most part, you know, so, but that's what I noticed, like, I see a lot of people, they like, even now, they're like, hey, Clubhouse and shit. I'm like, I literally, you know, I'm talking person as well. But I learned how to do Unreal Engine because of Clubhouse in July, like, and now I'm a 3D animator because, yeah. So I could literally, it was a little Clubhouse, had 3 people in there, and it was just, they was like, yo, we're doing a fellowship, we're teaching Unreal Engine for free. 3 people, the other hallways was, you know, black men versus black women, and you know.
For somebody who does not know what that is, what is Unreal Engine?
It is a game changer. It's going to revolutionize the film industry. It is already, but it's traditionally a game engine software. Like filmmakers are using it. They use it for virtual production. The Mandalorian use it. It's super dope. It's not that hard to learn. I encourage everybody in here to take a look at it on YouTube. But it's a game changer for artists and creators across the board.
Awesome. I love that. And I met Melonious on Clubhouse, and it's when you start with those small rooms. It started with Write That Thing. In the middle of the pandemic, when we were all isolated, I live in Brooklyn, New York, isolated, and I'm a writer. And then it was just like, hey, you know, we're gonna write together. 20-minute intervals, and just it turned into this, felt like we had known each other mindfulness. So what I wanted to encourage, because you talked a little bit about the possibility of overwhelm or it being like a lot with the metaverse. And sometimes I feel that, because I feel like I know I've only scratched the surface. You know, it's like the number of platforms that I've gotten on it was very small. What I would encourage though is to take your time. So it's like, I think sometimes too, it can feel like we're at the beginning of this, conversation, we're at the beginning of this new frontier, and it's like, I gotta figure it out, I gotta do all the things, and it's like, really, I know I'm taking my time to figure out, well, not who am I, but it's like, how do I want to be of service in this space? And I may not know that on day one. I want to give a shout out to some of the amazing Black faces that have been created in the metaverse. Like when I think about Beaverton's mansion, I gotta give a shout out to Black Manifest, which I connected with on Clubhouse, and like doing this like amazing Black history and Juneteenth events in the metaverse that you may have otherwise not been able to access because you're not physically in the same space. But I would encourage everyone to like, you know, get in there. I know for me, part of my vision is around visuals, so going back to, you know, fashion and the metaverse. I want to have my own set of digital wearables. I'm saying it out loud so that it happens in 2023. That is my commitment. Is that, you know, because just being in there and being able to dress differently, being able to create, being able to spread the message is something that I'm very, very excited about. And it took time for me to kind of see, like, well, you know, what is this? So that's what I would add, because everyone knows that in order to manifest your vision, you have to get really clear.
Yeah.
But while you're doing that, don't be afraid to explore, because it will continue to get clearer while you go on the journey. Don't feel that, like, if I don't have all the I's dotted and T's crossed today, I don't have something to offer. If you have something to offer, let the journey unfold.
Yeah.
Do you all think that the metaverse is a place that someone can go to be mindful? I think that's a good question.
Oh, thanks. Absolutely. One thing that I love about the metaverse is that you can create anything that you want. And sometimes, you know, there are different theories about like what is reality here. Are we in a simulation? Are we like, you know, is our soul choosing this body, choosing this journey? What is destiny? What is what is our free will? I think about these things all the time. Like all of these like different sort of like even the multiverse is saying what you think about, right? And so the metaverse is a place where we can just use our imagination to create anything that we absolutely desire. Create new communities that sometimes we can create things that existed in real life, and sometimes we can create things that absolutely don't exist. And I really love what you said about allowing the journey to unfold, because the way that I move through the world is a lot of my life is serendipity, and I trust into the universe that I will meet the right people at the right time. I will have the right opportunities come to me when I don't always expect it. And that things are, that I am supported, and that is a whole way. And also that even when things don't go my way, like what is this teaching me, and what is it for, giving me the opportunity to step up and speak my truth, and also ask to be respected, or ask and allow someone else to be correct. You know, and so that's sort of, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, good. I think it's good.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
What was the question?
The question was, how can someone go to the metaverse and find mindfulness?
Well, I don't know if I would say you could go to the metaverse and find mindfulness, but I do, when we're sitting here thinking, I would remind myself that I try to be very mindful to show up as me.
Yes.
Right? To be authentically myself. And I think I got it from Clubhouse, but it translated into the metaverse, because I realized that whatever you portray is what you're going to attract. Right? So if you're not portraying yourself, you're going to wake up one day surrounded by a bunch of people that you don't like, just like most of us are in real life. You know what I'm saying? And I learned real fast that somebody said it in the panel before, your vibe attracts your tribe. Really, I really agree with that. Because our tribe is full of the lunatics that I love. Right? Like, I realize sometimes that our rooms get a little toxic, right? Because some of us are toxic people who are trying to get better.
Hello? Hello, run that back. Run that back.
The people who I grew up with were, for the most part, very damaged people. Right? But they were really good people. And I've always been with creators. Right? I've been in the music business since I was 15 years old, hanging around a bunch of old dudes. And all the artists that I know, to a person, are insane. Right? They're all crazy. They're all crazy, but they're all beautiful people. They're all good souls, right? They all will give you the shirt off their back, they'll feed you their last bite of food, but they're lunatics. I think it takes a little bit of lunacy to say to yourself, you know what, I'm just going to make something out of nothing, and that's how I'm going to feed myself. Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can make this thing out of thin air. I see it in my head, I want to make it. Right? And from my experience, no artist eats right when you start. Right? You know, like how you dress, I used to have the wrong dress. You know, there's that ugly face in your dress, right? Where it's like, should I keep it, should I cut it? That part for artists usually lasts a couple years, right? And once you come out on that other side, there's a certain fortitude that I think if you bring that into the metaverse, these kids see it's like a shining light, right? And they run to it, and they want to foster it, they want to be around it. And I think being mindful of, for us creatives, to be your authentic self at all times.
Yes.
Yes.
Low taking us to church.
It's called I Don't Do It.
Speaking of church, we actually, so some of the mindfulness that we practice on my end, we have a church that's defined, they know from Black members. So we actually built a space that we hold space for anyone who actually wants to come to church inside of the metaverse platform. And that has been a place where we actually go to, and we've been able to talk to people, pray for people, people who actually want to go to church in their country and they can't go to church in their country because it's outlawed or forbidden, so they can come into that to communicate with other like-minded individuals, Christians. And that has been a space that we actually have held every Sunday since February. So yeah, we're still going strong.
And churches have, and you know what? There are all kinds of like, there are people who have meditation spas, sound baths. So you can go. I just wanted to offer that as well.
Virtual breathing.
Okay, there you go. There's all kinds of it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Clubhouse, the hot space, and it started, obviously, in the Clubhouse scenarios, and that was created for, like, it was weird because when we first got the Clubhouse, it was all about introducing something, because, like, we all came from this whole pandemic scenario, so people was so enthused with the sound, what do you do? So you get on stage, hey, I do this, I do that, or you just look at connect with the like-minded about stuff. You get, okay, this is what I do. Who do what I do, let's link up. So I was going into these rooms and everybody was introducing themselves and didn't know talk of spirit, no talk of energy. So I was like, yo, we need to create a room just for spirit. And the whole concept of the room was that no humans was allowed in. So it's like when you come in, you have to get people outside. You have to come in with your spirit self. So it was totally the rules. You cannot come in our room with your face like, we don't care who you are when you come in our room. So it's like your face is not even allowed. So we gave everybody hearts. So when you came in our room, it was all hearts. So now, what I noticed is that at the beginning of Clubhouse, people would stay in the room that had pretty faces and the cute girls. My room had a lot of beautiful ladies, so people would just come there because of the faces, or we come there because of the spirit of what you are. So by not having no face, it allowed the right people to stay.
Yes.
Wrong people to just keep going.
Yes.
So that whole concept was going on for a long time. People even came on stage and I told them, yo, you're gonna have to like get rid of your face because the rule says no egos allowed, you myself. And people was really reluctant, like, nah, I'm not changing my pictures. Why I gotta change my pictures? And that is the goal. The goal was to make people understand that you are fighting for something that you really not. You're fighting for this physical entity that you created throughout your years, that you and a whole bunch of people throughout your life created for you, and you hold on to that as if this is you. You are in here, and you can't even allow yourself with yourself because you're so busy trying to hold on to this shit. So we're trying to get people to just silence that mindset, that ego, that brain of yours, and allow the energy to flow. So now when you're in a room where everybody's energy is flowing on one accord, we started playing this game called celebrity have a game where like now you can actually put words in different sentences in people's. It was so weird in my room one time that people got scared because I was doing meditation where we had people put numbers in each other's box in the meditation, and they'll come out of meditation and they'll tell you who gave you what, and people were just saying it, and it was like 90% rate on accuracy, and it was kind of amazing, but you have to be on the same accord. So that whole mindfulness on metaverse, I feel like had to be exercised with you, the inner you, not the physical you, because you come there, you're going to be whoever you want to be, and that's why with me in metaverse, it's kind of like somebody's James one day and Janet the next day. I'm like, well, like, who are you? Because you typing this stuff in there, and those people's personalities are all being what they want to portray to you. And to be honest with you, I could watch a movie for that shit if I want to read about characters. So sometimes I don't have time for somebody to tell me their idea of what they want to feed me, because it's like, let's meet in person and let's do something and let that be what it is. All that talk, sometimes it's just like, we're not time for that. Unless you go, and then when I do go down there, of course, I can leave people's rooms and then get a dose of good stuff and then just stuff in general. So mindfulness is definitely everywhere. And the good thing about it, if you're looking for it, the spirit will bring you to the right place and you will get it.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's there. You just have to be mindful of it, meaning it's all around us. You just have to be mindful.
I just piggyback on that. Yeah, but I think, you know, what you said, and essentially, you know, I like Clubhouse, that's probably my favorite platform. But, you know, you go into these spaces and you essentially bring your essence. And like, you know, when Clubhouse first started, it wasn't about followers or anything like that. You just came as you, and all you're hearing is this person's voice, their vibration that they're putting out to the world. You know, same thing when you kind of go into, you know, these VR spaces. you're just giving somebody's voice, you know, they have the avatar there, but, you know, I think that's important, man, like, just, like, you create these spaces, like, you think about, you know, people down Clubhouse now, but just imagine if, you know, you have these great people, they build this utopian society, and then they all just leave. And then people just wander their pocket, and they don't do whatever they do with it, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, that's what happens. So, you know, we built this great city, and then some of the people that built it and created the space that people love, they kind of love it. And other people just came in and like, I'm gonna turn that lake into, we're supposed to live in the lake. And, you know, so, you know, it is what it is. So, you know, but you being intentional in creating that space, you found your tribe and people that were aligned with you on the same frequencies who came to that, you know? So that like I said, I think that we go back to what we're saying, like that's what has me excited about it. But every, you know, life is balanced, is yin and yang, so you can't have light without dark, you know? Yeah.
Again, before you go, to piggyback on what you said, right? What I realized though, with the beauty of Clubhouse, and something I think that a lot of us were saying while Clubhouse was doing good, right, is that we shouldn't be building castles on other people's sand, right? And I think it's good that the real life connections lasted, and we're sitting here talking about Clubhouse because it worked, right? But now we have to work. Keep it going. It has to be bigger. It has to be bigger than somebody's hat because that's Paul or what's his name. That's their thing. They own that thing, right? But they don't own us, and they don't own the conversations and the kind of content that we learn how to create. Because for me, before Clubhouse, it was over. You know what I'm saying? As far as entertainment, as far as trying to create communities and crowds and collectives, I was slinging tacos. I was trying to run my business. I was trying to buy houses. I wasn't thinking about connecting with people anymore. And it brought it back to me, and it gave me a second chance because I realized that there's never been this is what, to me, they promised us in the 90s about the internet, right? The way we connect. You can't do that on Twitter. You can't do that on Instagram, on Facebook even. Facebook is a net of vipers and weird people and scammers, right? Because it's behind, they have like 10,000 pages, right? How many different people can you meet on Facebook? I think the genius of Clubhouse was that one account, one number, right? You. And then it's your number. And for me, what I miss the most is if you act up, and I brought you, we both out of here. We had everybody out the party. Get your homie, get up out of here. You and you get up out of here, right? Because that created a certain kind of etiquette on Clubhouse, especially once, and to be, like, I don't know how people will take this. Anytime I hear people say there's no money on Clubhouse, I'm like, what rules are you in, right? Because all I know is artists selling work, people getting jobs, opportunities, people learning skills that turn into new careers. That's what Clubhouse is to me, right? It's fertile ground for getting money. That's why I fell in love with it. That's why I'm still here. That's why I connected with the people I connected with, because I see the future captains of our industry.
I just want to add that we're all here because of Clubhouse. You know what I'm saying? Like Lagani, you know, she was very intentional in the space she created, and she's done this in New York, London, LA, and like she's like the reason we're all connected in this space in this moment of time is, you know, Lagani, but through this thing called, you know, this app. So yeah. Yeah, sure. That's the first person I've met. That's the first person I reached out to before Clubhouse and made me feel like Clubhouse was real. Like, I was like talking to older people and she like reached text me. I'm like, okay. Because you know, I'm very like low key and shit, right? So coming to Clubhouse, I ain't want nobody to know I was protecting her. Like, that's why I didn't do heart space. I could have been protecting her all day. I was like, nah, chill. I can't go in there with this protecting her energy. Like, it just felt weird to me. Because I feel like people gravitate towards it because they know what it is. So I wanted to really be authentic. I wanted to just not be you. Yeah, so I was like, you're gonna face something new. Which kind of like threw me for a loop because now I gotta deal with two things. But yeah, so I was like, we gotta face something new, and my space was it, which was like a sister protecting her that only exists on that platform. Yeah.
So all these things are related to community and how each of you have
related yourself to the community that existed, be it on Clubhouse or a metaverse platform. But I would just ask you, because this has begun this focus here today, is like, these things first reflect to self. You know, you are, as much as you are present in a community, is a reflection of who you are as yourself. So how did you first take care of yourself? And the question that everybody's been asking today is, what does healing the self through the arts mean to you? So it starts with self-care, and then you reflect that to the community, but what does that mean to you?
So I feel like there are two questions here. So one is like, how do you heal yourself, and then heal yourself through the arts? I feel like they're related, because if I show up for myself, to sort of, I do, you know, everybody brushes their teeth hopefully, and showers, and they do all that, right? It's important to have spiritual and energy hygiene. You know, like I like have spiritual hygiene in terms of I chant Buddhist mantras every day, I clear my energy every day, I connect to the divine every day, I light incense, I give an offering, like I have to do that for myself and to reconnect to sort of the universe or the divine or whatever, and then the arts are the way that, I mean, for comedy, I'm sure you can speak to this, for comedy, so much of our healing is through making jokes out of trauma.
Yeah.
And so that is like, and then when the audience laughs with you, then that heals them too. And so it's just like this huge, like, I don't know, laugh-gasm that everybody's just healing together. And then the NFTs that I made was like divine feminine, so I wanted to bring more of the divine feminine into the NFT space. And specifically not just like pretty, like soft, snuggly. I wanted like wild divine feminine. I wanted the wild woman archetype to come through. And I felt like that is something that a lot of women, that resonates with them, and something that a lot of women feel inside too. Anyway, yeah.
I love that.
So this question, and again, shout out to Begani because it's always so thoughtful, and just to touch a little bit about the mindfulness piece, I think Begani was the first room that I felt, here's a person who is looking to make people feel whole and feel that they are safe being themselves. And who knew, like, getting love bombs in Bagani's face, how good that feels, right? It feels good. So that catch these compliments thing is like such this seemingly innocuous, just kind of flies under the radar, but it's so powerful. It's so powerful. So I just wanted to add that. For healing myself, this is, I would say two pieces, because I think art comes in a lot of different forms. I feel that I found my voice on Clubhouse, for example, in a different way. I had been in a lot of transition over these last couple of years, but it was in a few spaces, including creating my own space, American Hot Sauce, on Clubhouse, talking about racial equity and social justice and the workplace and all of these things, where I realized, like, oh, I'm a speaker, that there is something that's beyond kind of being in corporate spaces and kind of wiggling my way in my different studios, but it's that I have a larger story to tell. And I mentioned the article that I published in the Daily Beast that was like the first microcosm of what has been a very challenging and painful journey. It's been a painful journey to kind of walk through my own reckoning with race and my own reckoning with all of the ways that I've been slighted. And my training from birth was to accept those slights. My training as a Black person was to play my role in the system of white supremacy. And so for me to start to really break out of that, and I've been kicked out of spaces on Clubhouse. I am unapologetically Black. And so that started for me a healing process, just all the things that we talked about, being able to connect with your tribe, being able to connect with others who are looking to increase their skill set around what does it mean to operate in the world as with an equitable lens, to be able to go into a place of teaching. And then I mentioned I'm gonna ask you to help me out here. So the actual, so this is the second time this happened. I've also had a history of trauma around things like Hurricane Katrina. My family's from New Orleans. I lost one of my closest cousins to AIDS, and that prompted my first fashion endeavor, a brand called Human Intonation, using fashion to raise awareness and funding for different nonprofits. And there's something about that healing that goes with design and creating a message to try to help people move forward. And so in this kind of space around racial equity, and particularly what we're talking about today. So one of my favorite concepts is like self-care is the revolution. And self-care is a revolutionary act for all of us, all backgrounds. And I really tuned in with what you were saying, Will, about like that piece of freedom for everyone. Self-care is a revolutionary act. And then when I think about it in the context of our history as Black people, it takes it to a whole other level, because the system is designed for us to never take care of ourselves, to always put ourselves last, to be exploited. And so I advocate for self-care and for revolution. And these are the pieces that will become digital. We're making this digital art. We're gonna make them digital wearable. And then there's a couple other pieces. Magani knows. You can always catch me wearing my Black Queen driving, and these are all available for sale. You can definitely go with that. But the biggest one that has been just really making waves is the thank you. Black people are American hot sauce, and being able to bring this message in the universe. And I'll tell you, I got one down in JFK just the other day, because I always have mine on. This white woman was like, "Oh my God, where's she at? That tote bag." And I was like, "Great, I have one right here." Sold it to her right there on the plane. So it's been exciting to start this movement, and we'll see where it goes. But the point is to start to take action. That's been very cool.
So it sounds like you started a revolution that was your self-care, taking care of others and putting out this message being your form of self-care.
Well, people started asking for something that they could carry the message with. And so with my background, having a background that touches fashion, I always went to, and I gotta give a shout out to my business, Kanani, ReBLACKaForTheBLACKs, really having an understanding of how powerful merch can be, how you can carry your message with t-shirts, with tote bags, and it is not, and it can sometimes be minimized as how impactful it can be, but just being able to have a t-shirt that says "We are the hot sauce," and people get it. People just boom, without having to do a lot of explanation. But for me, it's being able to go through the process of design and just to get it out, to create some form of expression and to know that it will evolve. So I think that's where the healing comes from, because both is an opportunity for me to express myself, but then also to create wearables for other people to say, yeah, I get that too, I relate, I want to spread that, and so now we can have this community together with these items.
Self-care is self-expression.
Self-care is self-expression. And the revolution.
And the revolution.
I wanted to say that self-care to me is funny, but I take care of myself, I take care of other people. And it took me 40 odd years to get to the realization of why, what I was doing, right? Instead of just working. And what Clubhouse, I was mindful when I got hooked on Clubhouse was Bitcoin Miami 2 years ago, right? 2020, Bitcoin Miami. Right? And what it was that I realized I went above and beyond for a bunch of strangers, right? And so I had to step back and say, what the hell did these people do to me to make me do so much for free for strangers, right? And what it was was like, I remember I said, like, how Clubhouse revived my career, basically. And I was so appreciative of the people who taught me the things that I learned, right? The people who taught me what NFTs were, the people who taught me, oh, you can pitch yourself. Oh, no, hey, this is what this is, for free. And I wanted to give anything to those people. And I said to myself, that's the secret. Right? Doing it without expectation of anything in return, right? That it closed a big hole inside of me, bro. Like, why not me? Why not? How come I'm better? All that shit had nothing because you were just working for yourself, right? I wasn't working to advance hip hop. I wasn't working to advance my hood. I wasn't working to advance the crew, just me. I was focused on me. And once I stopped, and once I just existed as I know stuff, and if you ask me a question, I'm gonna answer it. Right? Once I started answering the question instead of being like, I don't know you, my life just blossomed, right? It was just open. And the more I did it, the more I healed. Right? And once I wouldn't say I'm fully healed, but I'm still a little, but I'm getting there. And it helps the more I help people, right? To cure all the bitterness of being a fool. Right? You're supposed to make it as a teenager. Oh, no, you're supposed to make it at 20. No, you're supposed to make it at 30. Right? I've been in the business for 30 years. Right? That's a long time to not get what you came for. Right? But the more I watch other people get what they come for, the more I go, oh, that's why I didn't get it yet. Because I would have been too far to help this person. And I was here to help these people now. Because the help that I got was just from somebody I helped randomly, bro. The success I had in crypto was because I answered somebody's question and they came back around and was like, you should, you know what I mean? And it just kept being a jackpot, without any expectation of hitting jackpot. I didn't even know I was playing lotto, and I kept hitting the number, like, so that's how I got healed, and it wasn't the metaverse, and it was self. If nobody did it for me, it was me being helpful that got me the help that I needed.
Self-care being self-discovery. We have Peter. Okay, we got two more and we got to start to wrap up. Okay.
I want to talk about what she mentioned with self-care. And then of course self-care is actually one of the things that I pride myself in when it comes to the meditation that we do. But I want to ask you guys a question just to kind of like see, based on what she mentioned about the program, I want to see this right. If I was to ask you guys, just name two of your favorite people in the world, off top, just name two people.
Two great people.
Okay, next.
My best friend and my mom.
Next. My daughters. Next.
I would say my niece and
Great. So that's where self-care is so important. We never was taught to count ourselves.
Wow.
No, we never. We don't exist when it comes to this idea of a relationship with someone, because we don't have a relationship with ourselves. We don't even know that this organism, this body is full of live things that speaks to you, listens to you, communicates with you, is with you, loves you, and adorns you. It just keeps you alive, right? We don't know that because we don't spend time with ourselves enough. And self-care to me speaks on this programming that we don't even count ourselves into nothing. And I see this everywhere. You could just listen to anybody. When they speak, they don't even put themselves in the fucking school. And that's sad. That's sad. So when it comes to self-care, I feel like that's one of the things that I really have to want to normalize for us to acknowledge ourselves first. Because we exist, like shit, we here. We are here. So when we don't acknowledge ourselves first, and I know the kids, the family, all that is dope, but they are here too. They have what you have. They have access to what you have. They all are you. They are a reflection of you. So when you don't count yourself in, you actually don't even count themselves in.
Yeah, but can you repeat what was the question one more time? That's the only experience correctly. It's how you are.
What does healing the self really arts mean to you?
Okay. Yeah, so I like the term self-care. Most recently, a couple months ago, I started asking myself, like, how do I nourish myself? Because I was like, we talk about like pouring in other people's cups. Kind of like what Uncle was saying, like, but we definitely have to like pour into each other's cups. Oh, good. Because when you pour, you gotta go. I pour like this, like a teapot. So I'm like, we have to pour over. That's what it's like. You put so much love in yourself, that shit just drips over. It's so much for everybody because it just. I feel you. I think a couple of things now. I've been on a couple of panels, and I think it's important that we focus on our language because the language is an extension of what you're thinking. So, you always hear the term hurt people. You know what I'm saying? I want to start, I want us to start seeing heal people. You know what I'm saying? So, it's important, you know what I'm saying?
Taking a church.
Hey man, look, I think for me, man, like Jessica was talking about, like doing comedy and arts is something that like is healing for me. You know that you're making somebody laugh. It's this energy exchange that's going back and forth, and like, I go back to Clubhouse a lot because I've done a lot of space in there. Like I used to do this room called Breathe and Chill, where we do breathing exercises. I had a room where we used to like write together. It's called Write That Thing, and every week we would write together on the app. And I create community spaces, but it's about like, for me, it's just like being the change that you want to see. I know that's a cliche, but like, these are things I want for myself. And I know that if I wanted it, then other people want it, you know what I'm saying? So, whenever I create something and I see that it has like an impact on people, that lifts me up. Cause I'm like, God is using me to help other people.
Yes.
And that's how you can ask for the artist, right? It's just like, bless me with the inspiration and use me as a vessel to like help other people. And
I got a version of that, right? I said, I try my best to be the nigga that I need. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it is. I understand where I went wrong by helping other people, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I didn't understand until I helped somebody along the way, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I remember when I fucked up. That's why I fucked up.
Yeah, because when you help people, you help yourself. You know? Like when you talk, even like we're up here talking to y'all and we're answering questions, but we're really talking to ourselves. Same advice, and we give y'all, we give ourselves. So, it's crazy. Like I did it, I want to wrap up. I did this program last year, the Clubhouse Creative First program. And in the program, it was like 11 weeks. And I did a black soap opera called Young and Thirsty. And it was crazy. It was really good, actually. I'm really proud of it. But I had to write like 30 pages every week, like a new episode, produce it, whatever. And then like at the end of the 12 weeks, whatever, we had like this room, and a couple of the actors, they just started like pouring into me. Like one of the actors, she's in her 60s, she was like, since I was a little child, like I wanted to be in a soap opera. But I never saw myself being in a soap opera. She's like, you did that for me. My mother was able to hear me on the app acting in the soap opera. There was another girl, woman, she was like, when the pandemic happened, she was like, acting was over. She was kind of feeling depressed. And she was like, you put me in this, your audio drama. And I was like, I started crying on the app. I don't even cry. I'm not emotional like that. Maybe I am. I don't know. But it was, I was like, man, like I wasn't thinking about that. I was just like, I just gotta produce this thing. But I was like lifting people up. So like when they told me these things, and it's important that you tell people how they make you feel. Because it just, I was like, I gotta keep going. I gotta keep doing this because like God is using me. I didn't even think like about that. I'm just, I gotta work, but they're like this panel. You guys, you're a photographer. You know what I'm saying? You're taking these pictures. We're all extension of God, and He's using us. You know what I'm saying? So, sometimes we just gotta get our own way. But especially when it comes to the arts, it's just like if you're a creator, your job is to create. So if you're not creating, like you're not, being God-like. So just, don't worry about the industry, don't worry about it. You ain't got to follow it. Just make art for one person. You know what I'm saying? And touch that one person, and that's it. And then touch two, and then touch. Don't be like Harvey Weinstein, but touch. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm finished with that. But yeah.
I want to thank everybody so much for joining us.
It's good to end on a sleazy note.
I'm going to end it on this note because I would say what self-care for me has definitely been, I submit myself to the Lord. And then I ask him to use me as a conduit of his creativity. And so that he, please God, draw through me or create through me, whatever way that you want to use me to communicate whatever it is you want to communicate to me. I'm using myself as a vessel, and it's healing that way. So that's my word, and I want to thank everybody. This illustrious I'm thanking all of you all for listening to us today. Thank you all. Thank you.
And you'll hear me say it now, if you heard me earlier, you're going to say it again. But God said I'm going to ask, so I'm going to ask on her behalf. First of all, thank you for coming to this free event, but it's not free to do. So if you're loving what you're hearing, you're loving what you're seeing, and you want to continue to support the movement, please, no donation is too small. What is your Cash App? Cash App, Bigani, BIGHANI.
Yeah.
And, we
And
appreciate your support.
And that's some hats in the back, right? I think everybody in here should leave with a hat. Like, I don't see why. Literally, this is protect your heart. And everybody said it's important to protect your heart, but nobody has like a hat or a scarf or something to really show that they really support the movement. So I think like if you really support the movement and you have some funds in your Cash App or whatever, I really honestly think you should pick up one of those hand custom hats, which are all one of a kind, signed by me. They're all piece of art. They're like another piece of art. They should be about $300 each, but we're at $77 today. So I would say the first 3 people to get their hats right now at $77, that is going towards the I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. This lady has been going hard.
Yo, and let me answer that because you doing that just shows what this community is all about. We help each other. When we say we push each other, we encourage each other. Like, let's say you have a project, we push that project. If we have a voice, why not, right? So that's what this community is all about, being able to just have people share their gifts with each other, help each other, inspire each other. Because again, the best gift you could give to people is inspiration. Because when you're feeling down and out, you feel like you can't do anything. But when you're inspired to do something and make something out of yourself, it's limitless, So I want to thank all of my friends. These are my friends. I want to thank people who I respect, my peers. So, okay, I know you were nervous, but you did a wonderful job on the art. And you so easy. So, I curated this panel very thoughtfully. Creativity and mindfulness in the metaverse, and they all said it in their own experience and their story.
Since Uncut was so generous, I'd like, if anybody wants to buy those paintings, that can go see you too. Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm gonna have to take them to the back, to the paintings, and we're gonna have to have a whole conversation because that's my duty, and I ain't even saying to talk to you. Thank you for having everybody, appreciate it. And I seriously am, I'm seriously about the hat situation. I really do not see it in my mind why everybody please make me understand it if I'm missing something. I'd like to be clear. If I'm missing something, if I'm missing something, please let me know if I'm wrong, because I don't think that I am. In my mind eye, when I see all the other communities support each other, like when I walk in a room and somebody say, yo, that's my they protect the heart. I rock with them. They usually have something of their stuff on to actually show the support. And I swear to everything I love, man. Everybody say they support me, but I'm yet to. And I see it spiritually. I get all the love and support. But people don't get that. We need physical support. But we need physical support too. We got to sponsor everything, and we do everything on our own. So literally, for a reason.
Let's go. Just find uncut art. So find uncut art. Thanks again. Everybody give, these beautiful people. We have, the icons, the little icon things here about to speak. So take one photo. And the Angela's about to speak. So thank you guys. Alright, we take it on photo and James is gonna speak.
Alright, ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Everybody say CatchTheseCompliments.
CatchTheseCompliments.
1, 2, 3. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Thank you.
Alright, everybody start heading back to the seats. Everybody start heading back to the seats. Our keynote speaker is on the street. Everybody have a seat. Everybody have a seat. Everybody have a seat. This man is inspirational. Thank you guys. So everybody make their way back to their seats. Everyone have a seat. you know, investing, advising, tech, and Web3. And he has something very important to say to people here. And the theme of this has been healing the self-movement arts. When I told him about it, you know, I'm a really relentless person. I've called him a bunch of times, but this is something that I truly believe in, and I believe, you know, certain people need to be a part of this. And his theme is being a resilient creator. And I'm very excited to introduce him, Mr. James Andrews, also known as DJ. Everybody give him a round of applause.
Let's give this young lady a round of applause because without her, we would have let's give yourself a round of applause for just showing up. You could have been anywhere on Miami Beach. You chose to be here right now. Let's give all praise to God who actually woke us up this morning. For digging our toes into our feet. I did entitle this The Resilient Creator. I am very accustomed to giving talks about the venture capital world, hip hop, investing, all of these things. And I will talk about that. But I think what I'll really center on is something that I discovered in the year of 2020 to 2022. I won't call it what it was. It was just the years of 2020 and 2022. And it's really redesigning my thought life and reimagining my thinking. And I would say right now I'm going through that right now, which is pretty amazing. I'll take you through a little story for those of you that don't know who I am. And understanding my moments is to understand a few things. One is Web 0. In Web 0, I grew up in the Bay Area, in a place called Oakland, California. Went to high school in Palo Alto, California, sort of the Vatican City of Silicon Valley. I grew up in the 80s in the Bay Area, very entrepreneurial. My high school was very entrepreneurial. My fake ID business was thriving. I probably have more money in my pocket then than I do now. I saw the birth of the internet on Stanford's campus. I used to cut school and go to Stanford and play basketball and go to Meyer and Green Library, see this thing called the internet, these computers talking to each other. It would forever change my life. I really figured out my hustle quotient, my hustle patterns in high school. My high school was very entrepreneurial. So that's what I refer to as Web 0. I wrote code, 8th grade at Jordan Junior High School. I wrote BASIC, I had a Commodore VIC-20, and I wrote code. I programmed games in BASIC. That was Web 0 for me. Web 1 was really interesting. I made my way to UCLA, dropped out of college, and ended up thinking I was going to become an attorney, and went to work in the era of hip hop as an intern. I worked at Columbia Records, worked on the Def Jam records that we had as a college radio, basically a guy who called college radio stations. Had an incredible career, got my name up, got my reputation up, got a massive job at Columbia Records in 1995. I worked at Columbia Records and worked on the Fugees, Lauryn Hill, Nas, Maxwell, everything So Def, lots of artists. It was incredible. We were the New York Yankees of the record business. We were the Manchester United. I would say we're the USA soccer team, but everyone else today. We were badass. Fuck that. We were badass. Okay. I then figured out that my artists, who were all black artists, didn't have websites. I thought it was really important that my artists had websites. So I encouraged and became a champion for my artists to actually have these things called websites. So I would sit down with a young Beyonce and her father, Matthew, and say, what's really important for you is that you actually have a website. So I became like a John the Baptist of the internet. I was constantly talking about these things called websites in 1997. And I got really inspired, and I ended up building an email newsletter. I had a cushy job, an assistant, an expense account. It was New York City, it was 1997. And I had some extra time on my hands, a lot of energy as a 27-year-old. And I ended up building an email newsletter that became wildly popular. You probably would call it a blog today. And it became wildly popular, and lots of people read it. Went from 300 email addresses to 20,000 email addresses. I left my career at Columbia and went to Echo Unlimited, the Rhino, as familiar as that. And I worked as a chief marketing officer at Echo. But meanwhile, I had this little side hustle that was popping. Everybody was reading this newsletter. It was incredible. In fact, today people know me as DJ Rich Cacao, which is like my alter ego, DJ name. Yeah. Back then, I actually had Andy Black. Andy was this fictitious character that I made up. Andy would hang out at the Shark Bar and Justin's and do deals and see Puffy in one corner and see the NBA, Allen Iverson in the other corner. And I sort of used New York City as my playground. I used it as my creative playground. And in many ways, that period of time was the initial creator economy. We didn't call it then, but I really focused on my artists as creators. I didn't focus on Lauryn Hill, the record, or I didn't focus on the Fugees, just the album. I focused on them as creators. So I got really inspired to bring my artists to brands to help them, find opportunities for other revenue. The problem I have with the record business, I still have it, I have a problem with the record business, is we only funded the artists during the cycle, during the moment in which their record was out. But I was like, these artists are famous and influential all day long. And so I just became kind of a renegade at Columbia Records. I took that renegade spirit into creating this newsletter. The newsletter was a premier newsletter that everybody in the industry read. Sports, film, music, everything. And I ended up selling it to a .com. What is a .com? Well, in New York City in 1999, there were a bunch of companies that were getting funded. And I sold mine to a .com called Urban Box Office. Urban Box Office was started by 3 dudes. One guy was a punk rock producer. Another guy was a Def Jam general counsel lawyer. And the third man was a man named George Jackson. He would forever change my life. George was a filmmaker from Harlem, went to Harvard. He did Crush Groove, Jason's Lyric, Thin Line Between Love and Hate. He was my guy. And George, Frank, and Adam asked me to sell my little newsletter, which I was like doing in the middle of the night, to Urban Box Office, and I did. I sold it for a sum of money, and I left the music industry and went right into tech in 1999. It was an incredible ride. We ended up raising $1 million when I joined. All my music industry friends were like, what is a .com, and why are you giving this opportunity at J Records and this record? I was like, no, I'm really going after this thing because I see the internet as something that's going to happen. We ended up raising $1 million became $12 million. The chairman of our board, his name is Clarence Avon. Clarence Avon would also forever change my life. He's known as the Black Godfather in the record business. He would come from LA to New York, and we ended up raising $40 million. We had the website rights to Venus and Serena Williams, Muhammad Ali. It was an incredible, incredible creator economy moment. We bought a building in Harlem. The vision was to actually have like a Viacom where creators are creating on 126. It was an incredible moment. I was on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. I was in the press a lot. And I was in a new world of like, wow, this is the internet. This is a new opportunity at 28, 29 to actually build my own business. And I had stock options, which I guess were going to make me phenomenally rich. On that ride, George Jackson passed away. Broke my heart. Really broke my heart. It was wow. I still think about it. Like I think about what we're doing right now. I think about what I'm doing right now. Wow. If George were here right now, please, I challenge you, I implore you to go research George Jackson. He was an incredible man. And then I had a man like Clarence Avon in my corner. Incredible. If you're unfamiliar with the Black Godfather documentary on Netflix, I highly recommend you go see that. He really was the champion, and still continues to be the champion for creators. Watch the movie, I won't give you any spoilers, but he once flew to Atlanta to make sure that Coca-Cola gave Hank Aaron a bag. He actually was like, no, Hank Aaron is about to break this record. And Hank Aaron needs funding from Coca-Cola, and you're asking to get some money. There's a lot of motherfuckers and a lot of fuck yous when you're with Clarence Avon. He's an amazing man and still continues to inspire me every day today. So that was Web 1. We ended up raising $40 million, we lost $40 million. George Jackson passed away of a heart attack and stroke in the back of a New York City taxi cab as we built the business. I learned a lot. The media was on me. There's a lot of scrutiny, a lot of eyes on me, a lot of attention. I was used to being what I call the Geppetto, making the toys that the world plays with, and now all of a sudden I was in the spotlight. And that was a lot. It was a lot for me to begin to understand what it means to be in the spotlight, what it means to be in the media, what it means to be criticized, what it means for people to not like you. And that was a moment in time that I'll never forget, and I'm forever changed. So we went bankrupt. Showed up for work one day, doors were locked, and we went through the $40 million. And I wanted to figure out what was next. My best friend is a guy named Jeffrey Towns, you know him as DJ Jazzy Jeff. I managed Jeff for a while, traveled Europe, didn't have a lot of European experience, and got Jeff a record deal at a London-based label called Barely Breaking Even. Traveled Europe, it was an amazing experience, and got to learn about the record business in Europe. But ultimately realized I didn't want to be a manager. Moved to Atlanta and worked in advertising. That takes us to Web 2. Web 2, I got really inspired by a guy named Barack Obama who was running for office. I thought the way he was stitching together all the tools and fundraising, micro fundraising, was fascinating. I thought one day brands will actually use these tools to do this. I scrubbed my resume because, you know, when you work in the record business and you're trying to translate that to another world, it's really difficult because people get so enamored by the fact that you work with celebrities. So I basically wanted legit, what I call legit marketing experience. And so I moved to Atlanta and started working at advertising agencies. I worked for one agency and another, ended up working at Omnicom and worked at Ketchum. I ended up building a social media practice in 2008 at an agency called Ketchum. It was all hustle for me. It was hip hop all day. I looked at it as an opportunity to like run my own label. And so I basically encouraged brands to actually use social media in 2008. And I would go and talk to brands about Twitter and Foursquare and Facebook. We had brought Facebook into the Coca-Cola building when I worked at another agency. So I was very familiar with this new company and the early employees of Facebook. And I got really inspired by the idea of storytelling and how this Web 2 in social media would be a place for storytelling. So I became obsessed with it. I started speaking around the world. I started appearing on Don Lemon's show on CNN. I hustled on actually. I lived in Atlanta and I went out for coffee with him. I was like, look, dude, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna teach you how to use Twitter and Foursquare, and you're gonna put me on the air. It was some music. I basically like treated the whole thing like he was a record job. And so I became friendly with Tom Lemon. He gave me these 4-minute spots. He would speak for 3 minutes and 45 seconds. He would give me 15 seconds to speak about Arab Spring, Michael Jackson, all kinds of stories. And I would incorporate where I thought social media was having an effect. And it was amazing. I spoke all over the world, and it was an incredible journey. I learned how to perfect my evangelism. I look at social media much like evangelism. Actually, at that point, I gave my life to Christ. So I was really like thinking about evangelism through this really interesting paradigm about social media and talking about Christ. So yeah, in that moment, I was really inspired to make sure that everybody sees this thing that's coming, right? This thing where you're going to be able to tell a story or affect a community. And then Arab Spring hit, and all these things were hitting, and I was like, yo, see, Mr. Executive, it's more than just what your kid had for lunch. It actually is changing in the Middle East. Look what's happening here. I started traveling to the Middle East. I became quite known in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So I gave speeches in the Middle East. Middle East kind of became my passion. It will continue in my story. And yeah, I became really, really inspired by Web 2. I got so inspired, I started another business. Go figure. Started a social media agency and specialized in data and specialized in telling stories using data. And I built what are called social media command centers. And those command centers would be attached to TV shows. One of them was the CNN, a bunch of CNN stuff. And then I actually really focused on what we call influencers now. But I got the opportunity to work on the Grammy Awards. I did 3 seasons of the Grammy Awards, and I built social media command centers inside Staples. And I had influencers like Ty Beauchamp and some other friends of mine speaking on red carpet, and we broadcast that on CBS.com, and then we managed the social media command center. It was an incredible opportunity. I ended up winning Nike, Beats by Dre, went to the Olympics, with Beats by Dre. It was a great run. Ultimately, I sold the business, and I moved to LA, which is where I am today. In that period of time when I sold my business, I really wanted to figure out, because I became part of these like 1% communities where venture capitalists and founders would come together. And I didn't really understand like how some of my friends were able to invest in these companies. And I lived in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, and I felt like the people I know, Ludacris and the friends of mine that were there that had capital to invest, how come they weren't given the opportunity to invest in the businesses that I was seeing, some of the folks I knew in my sort of 1% world, I like to call it, how come their influence wasn't valued? And so I would bring VCs to Atlanta to meet with my friends. And we would have these closed door meetings, and it was educational for all of us. Raise your hand. What's Series A? What's diluted stock? And it was like school. It was like venture school. And I did that and learned so much about the world of venture capital. I learned about elitism. I learned about the fact that many of us, will not see the deals that most of the venture capitalists see. And I was like, okay, this is like secret society. See what's going on here, right? Went to Summit Series, which was a gathering of folks who gather in Utah. Met a guy named Travis who was starting a company called Uber. Met a guy named Neil who wanted to start a company called Movie Partner. And I didn't really know what questions to ask them to get on the cap table. I wanted to be involved in what they were doing. I wanted to like take the ride. I didn't have a ton of money, but I was like, I want to at least take the ride. So I learned everything about how you position yourself as a venture capitalist. I moved to LA and after I sold my last business and ran a venture studio with a guy named Troy Carter. Troy at the time was managing Lady Gaga. He seemingly had made his way into angel investing. He invested in about 100 companies. Uber, Spotify, Lyft, we were partnered with some of them. And we both kind of grew up together. I knew him from Philly, from DJ Jazzy Jeff days. He was managing Eve at the time. And he was a rapper, trying to be a rapper. And I watched his whole rise. And I was like, I want to figure out what you've done to actually get on the cap table. So I ran a venture studio that he started with an advertising agency. It was a no-brainer. It was like, yo, why don't you go to LA and run this thing? All right. So literally in the middle of the night, when I signed the paper on Friday, and I was in France by Sunday and Monday making an announcement to the press, the LA Times on Monday. And we ran a venture studio for a while. Troy ended up going to Spotify, and I ended up being really inspired by this idea of the intersection of culture and venture. And that's essentially what brought me to today, and where I've met so many of you. I ended up building a little venture advisory. I figured out how to get on cap tables. I ended up investing in Clubhouse. I ended up becoming wildly popular on Clubhouse for God knows why, because sometimes I just get on there and just vent. But I really got inspired by all of you and some of you in this room and who are what I believe the future of work. I believe the creator economy is the future of work. I believe the creators are the next great working class. I worked on Nike. There was this famous line that says, if you have a body, you're an athlete. It was actually my first tweet. I had Nike Twitter account. And I reinterpreted that to say, if you have an imagination, you're a creator. That's the only access, that's the only token, that's the only NFT you need, is imagination. Imagination is the access you need to become a creator. So I look at everything through the lens of the creator economy. I look at Pinky in Atlanta and Slutty Vegan as a creator. I look at somebody in a hair shop in Oakland as a creator. I look at people who are doing NFT art as creators. I look at the artist I worked with at Columbia Records, Nas or Maxwell, and these folks as creators. We all have the potential to be creators. We're all creators. We all have imagination. And so that's what led me to Web3. And Web3, for me, is the amalgamation and the sort of bringing together of all the worlds I just described. I just launched a venture studio, Web3 studio. That's what I'm here in Miami for. We have a new funding partner in Ripple, XRP. And so our first project is me returning back to my homeboy, Jeffrey Towns and DJ Jazzy Jeff, and we're tokenizing about 80,000 of his premium fans who have now come into Twitch during the pandemic. And we're building an entire tokenized world around DJ Jazzy Jeff. It's awesome. It's an easy one. My second project is even as exciting. I am looking at the world of Afrobeats, and I'm launching a Web3 Afrobeats label because I'm obsessed with what's happening in the gospel. And I believe, and for this reason, not just because I'm obsessed with Amapiano and all the good music that comes out of Africa, I actually believe that I want to get ahead of the creator economy outside of America, so that we can make sure that we inspire and educate young people so that they don't fall into the same traps that we fell into in the past. My first job, if you would, was my best friend's mother is Dionne Warwick. And actually when I went to UCLA, I would leave campus and go to their house in Beverly Hills. And she's like a second mother to me. Amazing. Her son is my dear friend. And I often say, like, Dionne Warwick shouldn't have to go out every night and sing "You Know This" San Jose to pay the bills, right? Like a woman like Dionne Warwick, who currently actually, after the passing of Aretha Franklin, has most #1 hits by in female artists, actually should be in a position where her art, where her contributions to Black music should have annuities and should pay. I'm not going to get to her entire financial situation, but she's not living in a way that I felt that she should be living. And I love that she's embraced technology. I love that she got on Twitter. Because for me, I also have a heart for the legacy artists. I spent a lot of time with George Clinton. My first client was Jane Fonda when I launched my agency. I have a heart for older celebrities and folks who have legacy and something to give to the world. So that's where I am in Web3. But I want to take you through sort of what my journey has been in becoming the resilient creator, in the hopes that you would take away maybe some of the things that I've sort of been able to look at in resiliency, some of the things that have enabled me and empowered me to do what I do, to wake up every day and to become this reimagined self. The first thing is this really falls under the bucket of prioritizing myself. I can't express how important it is to prioritize yourself. There's three things that really have made this journey really possible: discovering, revealing, and becoming. Discovering is honestly the first time I've nurtured and cared for myself. At 52 years old, had a lot of success, done a lot of things, traveled the world, but I never nurtured and cared for myself. I neglected myself in so many ways. So the discovering period in the process has been mind-blowing. Like, wow, I never knew that about me. I didn't know that I did that. I didn't know that I speak like that. I didn't know that I talk. I didn't know that I have that thought life. I didn't know that like I have those kinds of things. The second is revealing. You know, little James grew up in Oakland, and you know, at the age of like 8 or 9 or 10, I was a latchkey kid. I really managed my own little life. I had big dreams. I had a tree I used to climb. I had to rediscover little James. I had to come back to little James. And that period of time was the revealing part of what I'm going through. Exposing myself. Seeing that the things that cause me to hide and hesitate, finding those things that cause you to hide and hesitate, to not play big in the room, to not stand up and use the right posture, checking my posture, making sure when I walk in the room that I'm big in the room, making sure that those things are not false, that are not built on maybe the success that I had or the things I've already done. Hiding and hesitation is something I think we all do. I would say shout out to Clubhouse, where many of us are you know, come out of Clubhouse. Clubhouse has been an incredible opportunity for many of us, myself included, to just not hide, to not be afraid to talk about things that you may have not talked about in the past, to build your brand, if I use that word, on things that are real, on things that are authentic. I've spoken on many things on Clubhouse that are beyond the accolades and the things I just went over. I'm a caretaker for a child that has schizophrenia. I've learned so much about not just myself, but what I'm capable of and what everybody's individual journey looks like. And when you have a kid, when you have a child, you have a vision of how you want the kid to, you know, where you want to become, when you want to become, when you become older. My son actually, his journey, one of his stops is here in Miami. He's a Kane, go Kane, University of Miami. Classically trained violinist at Frost School of Music. And ended up having a journey that led him to schizophrenia. It's been missing several times. That 2020-21 revelation was mind-blowing for me to just fall back and just accept. Acceptance is a major part of my revealing. Seeing the things that cause me to hide and hesitate is a daily journey. Daily journey. I'm constantly looking at, like, am I hiding? Am I hesitating? What are the things I'm not embracing? I have some tips for you, by the way. I've been thinking about this for a while. The last is becoming. And this is a realization of who I have always been. This is a return back to little James. We have a show, Teresa and I work together, and there's a guy named Damian Andrews. We have a show called Becoming Man. I don't know why my ass said yes to this show. I don't know why I decided to say yes to this, but I'm so glad I did. It's a space where men have an opportunity to talk, to talk about things that traditionally we don't talk about, especially Black men. We definitely don't talk about the things. And so we're talking about all kinds of things: jealousy, repression, sexuality, all kinds of things that for a long time were taboo. And that's been a major part of my becoming, is actually doing this show called Becoming. So little James is smiling. I've been able to lean into the becoming aspect of prioritizing myself. And I want to sort of give you, I don't know, these are not the 4 agreements, but these are the 4 things that I think have been key for me. I'm gonna try to not curse again. I have a lot of curse words. I call it the AF moments. AF, you know what that is. Those are the moments where like I actually choose to be scared. It's actually, I was listening to a Rick Ross song this morning. I was listening to Rick Ross and Meek Mill. And you know, the idea of scared money don't make money. This is actually the anti-scared money don't make money. I actually think being scared is healthy. I actually think scary opportunities, scary moments are healthy. You know what? Last week I decided, literally on Monday, that I'm going to go to Dubai and Saudi. Dubai I know really well. Saudi Arabia I've never been before. I want to challenge myself. I want to push myself all the time. Why am I going to Saudi? Because there's a bunch of Web3 investments. And Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed has made a commitment to the metaverse. I want to see it. I made this decision last week because literally God put it on my heart. He's like, you're going to Dubai. Right, fine. Whatever you listen to God, you go. And those are the scary lean into moments that I'm looking for. So I guess my provocation or contemplation for you is, where are your moments? Where are those moments for you daily? Are you challenging yourself daily? For me, it was Becoming Man on Clubhouse. I get to do it every week. Next week, it's being on a plane to Saudi that I've never been to before in my life. What's that moment for you? Where do you challenge yourself and scare the shit out of yourself? Do that weekly. Second is, this is a straight rip from more agreements, but don't take anything personal. Don't take anything personal. Don't listen to the opinions of people. Don't worry about the opinions of people. They're on their own journey. They're in their own. By the way, this is something I'm working through today, right now, as we speak. I'm sure we all are. Show of hands. Don't take anything personally. Life is so much easier when you don't take things personally. I don't take anything personally. It's a breath of fresh air to be able to sit in that. I lived for so long taking things personal. I lived for so long worrying about the opinions of others, making sure my image was right, making sure someone liked me. Dead. I'm done. Done. My third is tune out the noise. There is a term that I heard in a church service as a boy. I used to go to Destiny's Church in Marietta, Georgia, and we had a pastor that came and gave a sermon on Kairos. And Kairos is a measurement of time that the Greeks use. You measure time 2 ways: chronos and kairos. Chronos is where we get the word chronology, and kairos is spiritual time. And the sermon was so profound and affected me in so many ways. And so in 2020, I dedicated every Monday to Kairos time. And I literally, from 8 to 2, I just played. That's when I discovered that I really love DJing. That's when I just went, I really gave little James an opportunity to have playtime. And I did. And I think it's so important to tune out the noise and to find ways to tune out the noise. And for me, that's play. And finding ways, like I'm here right now. When I'm done, when I leave this thing, I'm going to play. I'm going to explore Miami. This is my last thing I'm doing. That's a commitment. I'm going to be unscheduled, uncommitted. And where are you doing tonight? I don't know. Dante's again for the 3rd night? I don't know. If I want to, be unscheduled, declutter your schedule, prioritize play. And lastly, I have to give credit to Parisa. This is her motto. Words matter. The words are magic, or they can be used against you. Teresa taught me something that was really profound around the meaning of the word abracadabra. Everybody knows abracadabra, it's magicians, abracadabra, grew up with this. Magicians and the wand. Well, do you know what abracadabra actually means? It means I create with what I speak. It actually is very spiritual, the word abracadabra. And so I watch words. I have a white paper. There's certain words I have eliminated. I've eliminated a bunch of words that are not necessary anymore. We don't need to speak like that because words actually do matter. So watch your words. They are magic. You are magic. This moment, this Kairos moment we're living in is magical. Don't buy into the headlines. Don't get caught up in what the news cycle looks like. Don't even trip on crypto winter. I'm going to Saudi in Dubai where there's $1 trillion commitment to the metaverse. DM me. I'll tell you what happens after I'm back.
I will.
There's $1 trillion commitment. They're going to hire 40,000 people. They don't have 40,000 people to bring in. We're talking about a new economy. We're talking about a new workforce. We're talking about new opportunities. The question is, are you resilient? Are you ready? Are you prepared for this moment? The creator economy is alive and well. Everyone who has an imagination, research the definition of the word imagination, it's actually really good too, that words matter. Everyone here has an imagination. And I'm just incredibly thankful to Begani and her persistence. I love Brooklyn hustle. I just love hustle. Brooklyn, Oakland, Atlanta, whatever. You got hustle, DC, whatever. I love hustle. Her hustle is very special. It's very unique. I did not agree to speak here until a few days ago because she kept hitting me. But I really appreciate what she's done. I appreciate the energy and the frequency in which she creates in Clubhouse. There's something about Clubhouse. There's a frequency when you go into certain rooms. Yeah. You can feel it. It's powerful. It's like, oh, I feel different when I'm in this room. And there is something very magical when this leader, this young woman, opens a room, and all of you know that. That's why you're sitting here at 701 Lincoln. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. James Andrews, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, James. I hit James up about 4 different times, by the way. Persistence takes you far. So definitely connect with James. So we had to speed this up because actually my friends who's on panel 3, they got babies to kiss and people to meet. They're very important people. So just so Kevon, Jared, Elisa, Tony Ty, and Andrea Wilson. Everybody give them a round of applause because they literally sat here patiently knowing that there's a bunch of things going on in Winwood. So thank you again, guys. And again, one last round of applause for Mr. James Andrews. And if you guys want to have a seat, there's a few seats here.
It's the cool kids panel.
This is the cool kids panel. This is the
coolest, richest, all the money.
I want to thank Begani. Begani has really deserved all the applause. When Begani first talked to me about this event and asked me to coordinate the event with her, and she said, "You think that this is going to be happening this time?" And I said, "You know who you are?" I said, "You know how this is an easy thing. This is nothing." I knew it, and it was beautiful to be here and see what she put together, and I really I'm thankful for that. So,
I just want to say something real quick. So, like, true story, like, from my heart, like, to see this, like, I want y'all to understand, like, to see these people all in the same panel is very special. This is a once in a lifetime situation. They've inspired me. Each of you have inspired me, like, on Clubhouse. But way before Clubhouse, you guys have been, like, pioneering and blazing your trail. So we, like, everyone here, Lisa, You know, Kayvon, you've been supporting me since my first event. I really appreciate you for that. Jared, you've been an inspiration to me in this field. Definitely an inspiration to me. This is truly a special panel because I carefully curated the name Power Moves and Stillness in Tech and Web3. When you think power moves, you always think of aggressive, right? And in certain instances, you have to be aggressive to make it to a certain point. But they also know the balance of stillness and, you know, mindfulness. And I'm really excited to hear you guys speak. This is very special. So thank you again for your time. I know we're a little late, so thank you. So everybody give them a round of applause.
Let's start at the end. Let's start down there. I'm saying the best for last, and then we go to the best for Tony. I want to thank everybody for coming. So Jerry, can you introduce yourself a little bit, and then so let's do 2 questions in one. A little bit about yourself, and what is your stillness practice? What is your practice for mental wellness and stillness in life? We'll take it outside of it.
Yeah, so what's up, everybody? My name is Jared. I've been in the tech space for 15 years. During the pandemic, I got invited to this app called Clubhouse. Really found a mission in terms of increasing diversity in tech through the app. So I was throwing like 30, 40 recruiters on stage, people in our community, Black community, were shooting their shot. We got hundreds of jobs in tech. And then from there, I quit my job in tech because I was like, you know what, there's a lot of impact that can happen using social media and also just connecting people in ways that benefit the culture and benefit my network. So I've been doing speaking engagements. I got a podcast launching next year, and I'm also I've built into the Web3 space. So I connect brands, artists, influencers to Web3 activations, particularly Elucid, Multiverse IRR, and Infinite Reality. And so, yeah, I'm excited to hear from everybody on the stage. And when it comes to stillness, it's just really about being intentional and really focused on like impact versus ego versus the look. Because if you are like really intentional and passionate about this tech and Web3 thing, then you are going to eventually be successful and you are going to create success in others. But if you're in it for the money or the look or the ego, all that kind of stuff, it's very see-through. And I think that's why all of us have had a lot of success connecting with people in the space and just overall, because our intentions are pure. We really are about helping people and figuring out how to create win-wins and be reciprocal when people bring value to me. Like Kayvon, he's one of the most reciprocating people I know. So like, when he needs something, I'm gonna pour it at him because he pours back into me. And that's self-care. It's really being around people that actually care about you and are not just using you for a tech job or a connection. And that's what I would say is how I stay mindful and keep my sanity.
So first off, I actually paid him to say that. So. My name is Kayvon Noel. I've been in tech for over 20 years. I started out interning in technology, what I was told to try to manage there, school, do all that fun stuff, and went straight into tech, working with startups. I saw that I was often the only person coming in the room, but I also realized that everyone in the room wasn't really that much smarter than I was. So I wanted to make more space for us. So I started one of the first meetups back in tech in 2008. And since then, I've been kind of pushing my own narrative for tech and pushing it pretty heavy visually, shirts. And I started also a community for Black creators. So in terms of a run series, and what I'm doing now is connecting with brands and entities that have equity and seeing Black people thrive in creator spaces, and connecting those brands with their services at that moment. We got Jared, you've been building, and everybody else did, one about Clubhouse. Clubhouse is just a tool, right? Real ass people. So this leverage a tool to scale up what real people do. But when it comes to stillness, stillness for me is a verb. a product manager, I also do product management. You really have to think about what you're building. And when you're a creator, you really have to think about who your audience is. So being still in what you're producing is super important, and being mindful of everybody in the ecosystem and their minds as well.
Hi, my name is Lydia Tyson-Rett. I'm a filmmaker and
So Nate.
I'm the founder of Bad Girls Creative Club, which is basically a community that's, I would say it's like Andy Warhol's factory for the future. So our verticals are film, fashion, art, and metaverse. So I'm doing an arts residency in Brooklyn starting next year in January at the Zero Space. So we'll be creating some content for the metaverse. I'm really excited about that. I think, there's so many use cases for the metaverse. I think they will be a little for us. So I'm really excited about that, and obviously passion. My stillness practice, I think, is just being in quiet. It's funny, I'm a very social person, but I do need to be by myself a lot. So that's how I recharge and reset. I need to be by myself. So that's my stillness practice.
Woo! As you can see, I'm in very good company. My name is Lisa Jacobs, a serial entrepreneur. I spent a lot of time at Diageo, which is a multi-billion-dollar beverage alcohol company, doing culture and partnerships for big liquor brands like Julio's, Syrah, Deleon. In the last couple of years, I've been really focused on storytelling and story selling across different platforms. So I launched a venture-backed gaming company a couple of years ago that was one of the first for diverse women in gaming. And in the last couple of years, I've been doing Web3 advisory and a cultural marketing agency called Vogue. We work with Activision Blizzard, Diageo, James, I'm launching his liquor, a bunch of different things from startups to the biggest companies in the world, but to have more accountable storytelling and more accountable dollars. So when you think about these massive brands, and I am a huge fan of the creator economy, but I also just want the Robin Hood and the Trojan horse, or whatever metaphor you want, where the money is. Because if we can't get the economy, we can't get the money, we are just creating in the vacuum and in the echo chamber. So it's been a really exciting couple of years and kind of bridging that gap. So bringing some of the cultural brands into the space in Web3 in a way that's a bit more ethical and a bit more accountable, as well as having the creator economy and the upstarts in the space have some culture building out of the space. So offline and really bringing it together. When it comes to stillness, I think it's about, honestly, I think it's really about passionate patience, bringing patient passion. I am a go-getter. I am definitely of the hustle harder culture. I was teen no sleep. I was a, sleep in your bed, all of it. And I think that you have to create more space. This chase that we do, this going after it, the go-getter, the language that we use in this James said, words matter. We create this urgency and this effort. And for me, it's like I have always had the win, but sometimes the win is so messy and so sloppy that the buzzer buzzes. I'm like, really tired. I don't know if you won. And when you have to check the scoreboard to even know if you won, to me that's not a win anymore. You have to create space. You have to create ease. You have to create. My mom used to. I think any mom in here would probably relate because my mom used to like any quiet time. And she would literally go lay in bed in the dark for a couple minutes just to get away from us. And I feel that adulting is hard. You have to actually create space and mindfulness and give yourself soul space. We also look at like-minded people, but the reason these people are so important to me and what Blondie's been doing is it's not just about being like-minded, it's like gold, it's like soul. It is the people around you that build you up and fill you up. And as Tony said, also having that time for yourself. And as James said earlier, prioritizing yourself enough to create that space to allow. Because a lot of what we want comes if you just take a deep.
Nobody knows that. A lot of you guys probably don't know me. I'm not in any way a famous person and don't see me.
Why?
But for 14 years, I promoted alternate currencies and cryptocurrency. So before there was a Bitcoin, I was talking about tokenization, and I was working in school. Kayvon and I all went to Rutgers, and I tried to get Rutgers actually to adopt Bitcoin when it didn't have a price as the currency of the school. And the school and the students would benefited in a major way. But the reason I did that is because I believe that human beings are valuable. And a lot of people are measuring value by the wrong standards. They don't understand and they're missing a lot of things. We have this medium exchange that delineates that value. And so that's what brought me to this. And then suddenly I was given a platform called Clubhouse, and I was given access finally to be on Clubhouse. And so if you look at trends on terms like NFTs or Web3 or any of that, and you go to Google Trends past December 4th of 2020, you can see a clear spike. So I'm a progenitive voice around a lot of ideals, friends, OGs, communities, terms that you hear. Those are echoes of the voice and the only, and I got a chance to sit and talk to some of these amazing people, and meet all these amazing people through that portal of that platform. And hopefully, it'll be a documentary one day on this, because I really think it kind of changed the world, even though there was only a brief time, and now it's Black 100. You know what I mean? The way that I distill this is I'm in the Native American church, and so there's a big I go into teepees or ayahuasca ceremony with people, but teepee really, and I gotta sit on my knees all night. And it says, someone once told me, one of my brothers, I was adopted by this Navajo boy Sosie and BJ Boy Jr. He said one day, if you can sit on your knees all night, you can hold yourself up in life, And so I go in there and I intentionally
Aren't you the moderator?
sit in there and paint. I sit in there, and I'm on the panel as well. I'm just a part of a lot of things. So the way that I practice stillness is I practice stillness in prayer, and in long prayer and self-discovery, and I analyze myself, and it helps me to embody all those things that James talked about, the lack of judgment, the this and that, because everybody's here to give people grace. And so that's been what I really want to know from anybody on the panel, let's do it popcorn style, is how do you guys see wellness in Web3? What do you guys see what is Web3? Web3 is kind of a lot of pressure and it's moved fast. We've got all these ups and downs. What have you guys seen, and what do you guys believe would be the best practice for someone who's going through right now, who's going through crypto winter? What should people be thinking, Alyssa?
We really are back in the clubhouse. I think that, again, Web3, like every other aspect of industry, is about this hustle bustle, and we build community, but there's this exciting, like you said, there's a spike, right? So when you think about time, which by the way is man-made, we have this incredible sense of it running out. It feels scarce. It feels like it's chasing us sometimes. And in Web3, there's always something that you feel like you missed the mark. Or I remember when we were first building the community for NFTs on Clubhouse, it was like 4 days were selling for $400 in a room, and everyone was really understanding and learning the language. I think we have to remember we're really early. So there's a couple things. One, we're so early that you didn't miss anything. It is absolutely a fractional part of the world that is in Web3 right now, that is using tokenomics, that understands Bitcoin, that is investing in NFTs, that is building in the space. And right now in this crypto winter, after winter must come spring, I believe, Ms. Hillary told us, everything comes in cycles. I mean, well, you show up around the same timeline. So, I think that we really have to be patient, as I said before, and we have to be maintaining the energy. You gotta keep that same energy when things are low as when it's high. And our stillness and our consistency and our stability and security in ourselves and our vision and our mission and our dreams and our goals is what's going to be the through line. Because this cycle will cycle out, but it'll cycle again. It's just like any other market. It's gonna have highs, it's gonna have lows, it's the long game. And so when you ask about wellness and stillness and maintaining your sense of self within it, I think it's just recognizing it's another territory. It's just a tech ecosystem for culture and commerce to connect. We used to call it the internet. I think we'll call it the internet again. I don't think we're going to use language like NFTs or Web 3 or Web 4 or Web 5 or Web 11 in the future, I think that it is normalizing the community and the culture. And this is the time to build. This is the time to create. We talk about bull runs and bear markets. This is not about hybriding. It is about connecting and building community. And you hear this, you know, James spoke earlier about doing it scared and paraphrasing, but I agree with that. Like, I do everything to scared, because if you're not totally terrified of your next step, you're probably playing a little bit small. And so my challenge to everyone in the room is to play full out, to find connections in community, not just your tribe because you're incentivized, because you want to have the same wins and same gains and all the monetary part, but also that you just want to spend time with. All of these people on stage, I spent most of quarantine with. I was back in Massachusetts with my parents. I was up on East Coast time, a lot of people were on West Coast time. So I'm talking like 12 hours at a time, up till 5 a.m., wild shit. But you build real connections, you build real empathy, and you have to take it offline. So if you want to have wellness, take breaks, create space, be active, and make sure that you're connecting on and offline with the people that you're building with, because we're not all PFPs, we're not all avatars, we need real human connection, because we're people.
Yeah, I think you bring to mind another question. So, I realized that I have a lot of friendships that I've never like. I know I don't know what Kmart does. You know what I mean? I don't really explore. I'm not checking anybody's resume. Some people are going to LinkedIn and trying to figure out, like you said, Jared earlier, trying to use you. How important do you think it is to not have any expectations of your friends? Do you feel that it could disturb a friendship if someone has too many expectations of you and your friendship? Yeah. Tell me when you get that.
What's the question?
So the question is, so you have so many connections, and you have all of these people that are rushing at you. And does it disturb you when you feel like somebody has used you or is using you and not really your friend? Do you feel like people should just be your friend and stillness? Like people are rushing towards me constantly, trying to figure out how they can use me. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, here you go, are we cool, or are you trying to, or is it this?
I think it's inevitable that people are going to be drawn to your life, right? So if you're doing good things, big things, whatever, people are going to want to be around you. But you do have to vet them, and you have to take your time. I think it's hard for people, especially if you're all coming up in the same space around the same time, when you see certain people kind of elevating faster than you. I think that's just a lack of mentality. So I think that, everyone has to run their own race. For me, I am very blessed, and it's like, I don't like when people compare themselves to me, and I don't like when people kind of idolize me, because it's like, you don't know the flip side of what's going on in my life. So maybe professionally things are looking great, but you don't know what the person is dealing with personally. The reason why I know I attract a lot of opportunities is because I think in abundance. I expect it. You know what I mean? I have like this sense of entitlement, only because I feel like God's my daddy. So I'm like, okay, that's my father. I can have whatever I want. So I'm just gonna get it, and I just walk in rooms like that. You know what I mean? I don't feel intimidated by people or scared of people. I don't put people on a pedestal unless it's like Meryl Streep. But yeah, I mean, I think it's important to run your own race, and I think that like attracts like. So if the people around you are doing well, that means that you're gonna be next. I have a friend who we both know in common who's her birthday today, and she's a really well-known Hollywood actress. And when her star rose, she was like, "Oh, you next," and I was like, "But I was serving her as her friend." I was like, "No, you're gonna go to the Tonight Show. Why are you carrying your suitcase?" I'm grabbing her suitcase. I told her if she ever told anyone to throw a punch on her face, but I massaged her feet in one of her trailers once because her feet was really hurting, and she was shooting back to back with interviews and a TV show, and like no one was taking care of her. Everyone was wanting stuff from her, and it's like you don't become human anymore. So I think it's like taking your ego out of it and like being okay with like the people around you shining, because like I said, that sun's gonna fall on you too.
That's perfect opening for Jared, because Jared doesn't shine on so many people constantly.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, there's a whole book, The Power of Saying Yes. My experience is like the power of saying no. And choosing yourself
you know, choosing your self-care, because my first year on Clubhouse, going from 80 followers to 30,000, I had so many people asking for help with recruiters, asking help with this, and that. I was saying yes, and yes, I was draining myself. And then when I needed a favor return, it was crickets. So I just realized that was an important lesson that ultimately you got to choose yourself first, you know, say no, and then it also tests friendships, because there's people that have this expectation and entitlement to my time, my protection, my energy, my resources. And when you say no, it really shows, like, are they valuing the fact that I'm caring for myself, or they're more so disappointed that I'm not helping them get to where they're trying to go. And it helps weed out who's real and who's not. So I just say, like, you know, be true to yourself, say no to situations that don't really fulfill you, or, you know, get compensated for your time, which I had, you know, struggles with, felt guilty about it, but being around people that really respect their time and respect their experience and respect the value, I've learned to do that for myself. So, you know, this Web3 tech-based, you bring value, you know, get compensated for it, and prioritize those that prioritize you back.
Real quick, I wanted to say something about the fact that, like, sometimes you're pouring into people and pouring back into you. I think it's important to remember that you should not expect it. Like, if you're doing it for someone out of your heart because you think they're talented, because a lot of times the person you bless is not going to be the one that blesses you back. So you kind of, like, if you're going to do it for love, but don't expect anything in return, because, like, it's a very huge chance that you're going to be one of disappointment, you know?
I just want to double down on that, because I think that they say don't loan money, right? You're going to give money, don't expect it back, right? Time is currency, energy is currency. It cannot be transactional. And so if you're going to give of yourself, don't give with expectation, and don't give with an attachment to the outcome of the reciprocity, because you get disappointed time and again. And yes, it is absolutely true, there's a lot of opportunists, there's a lot of moths to flames. But as Tony said, like attracts like, and like attracts like, right? And so I think there's an element too of being incredibly service and servant-minded. And the fact that Tony's talking about, there's actually a really beautiful serendipity to the story that you just said, because that there's a very symbolic and spiritual thing about me, right? And that's something that she actually does for others. And so it's a really interesting correlation that you probably never thought about that, and it's all cyclical and cyclical. You're not a man. But I think that you just have to be able to give, and like, you find ways to also find a win-win. So like, when I was launching an NFT project for an AI-based production company, it was backed by Atomic Ventures, me, Alex Rodriguez. Tony was one of the first calls that I had that I was like, okay, we want to get her involved, what are you working on? So like, yes, I want you to be part of this council and like community, but how do we uplift, how do we use the platform, how do we find that win-win? Not everything is always going to be that. Sometimes it's one-sided or the other, but the more you can look at it from a value exchange and a value pool, it's not transactional trade. You gotta look at it almost as crowdfunding or crowdsourcing, right? There's just a pot in the middle and we're just putting in or pouring in. And sometimes you get to draw out and sometimes you don't.
Yeah, first of all, keep counting. You know, I'm like, this guy right here is taking me to dinner before, I don't know, you know what I mean? I'm taking him to dinner, you know, and this guy right here, I stayed in this house, and, you know, and friends don't keep track. But this is the last question.
Actually, I just want to say one response though. When it comes to like reciprocity, more so for me, it's just like you can't pour from an empty cup. Yeah. So just make sure you're getting your cup filled up, and that's all I'm saying. Really, is like I really don't care necessarily. I don't really care like necessarily if we have a one-off. Like I got you this, give me that. But like just make sure your cups stay filled. You know what I'm saying? And if you do that, then you can't give without worrying about it because your cup's overflowing.
Boom, boom. So the last question.
Oh, the last one.
Okay.
I think also you also have to do a good job of being introspective. Sometimes being service oriented isn't always the best move for you. And I think we also have to, every time we're moving forward in that space and time, we gotta recognize what that's gonna do to us and for the other person, and if it's for that person, right? I think some people don't need to get served at a certain time, and sometimes God allows that to not happen because they need their own discipline. And sometimes you pour out thinking that they need it or with them. So I think having that introspection to know where you are, what you can do, and what you need in that moment is super important. And you're still, like I said, still is the verb, and we need to understand how to sort of make that kinetic energy in that stillness.
Yeah, psychic told me recently, she said, stop giving your gifts away. That's how I feel, she said. So the last question is, what does healing the self through the arts mean to you? And that's a question for each of you guys, whatever way.
Okay, so healing the self through the arts. I think that the Bible, by way of Jesus, said you can't heal what you don't feel. Right? And so I think actually allowing yourself to feel, to reveal, to heal has to start within, but it also has to start with checking out. What I mean by that is, I am very cerebral. I don't know about anyone else in this room, but I am an overthinker, overanalyzer, over everything. But what I realized was when I was G's age, I was actually a radical feeler. I was a very sensitive kid. And we have these walls and these guards, these defense mechanisms that throughout our life, we get bumped and bruised and burned and you use as shields, but you think that they're noble. So intelligence and intellect and being logical and pragmatic because you don't want to be, especially as a woman in business, seen as like frenetic or emotional or whatever. But I outthought my feelings for most of my 20s. And I spent most of my 30s trying to reconnect with my 8, 9, 10-year-old that knew exactly who she was, knew exactly what she wanted, and knew exactly what she was going to contribute to the world. And so for me, healing is not just healing and revealing, but also reverting. Because when we're born, and I know we've very generically touched on God and the universe and agnostic of your beliefs. To me, God is love, right? So when you're born and you are just love and creative potentiality. That's it. And so we actually have to spend a lot of time emptying that bucket. It's not getting something from the outside, it's not externalizing, it's not a new skill or a new lesson or a new trait that you need to get. It's actually reverting back to who we always were and who we always are, which is love and creativity, and that's it. You learn hate, you learn insecurity, you learn every other thing, right? So it's just getting back to yourself. That to me is using the arts, because the art is the child, right? I was a painter, I was a published poet at 7, but I didn't want anyone to know in the corporate world that I was a creative because I wanted them to let me manage multi-million-dollar budgets and raise a couple $1 million for a venture-backed startup and be taken seriously, right? And so for me, it's going back to that inner artist, that inner poet, that child that just wanted to play. And that's why Web3, and that's why what all of these incredible professionals do, a lot of people in this room, it's exciting to me. Because you get to play again, you get to express. All art is expression, it's visual storytelling. Or any other form, right? She's an incredible director, producer, it's all these different ways of communicating through your expression. And that's what it comes down to. It comes back to is the love of art.
I didn't realize how much you're online. I was published at 8, and I had a very similar journey. If you guys can be quiet in the back, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Be quiet, y'all. Please give some respect.
So, I named Bad Girls Creative Club because I was told by someone that I posted too many bikinis on Instagram, which I don't. And I said to her, like, so when she said, like a video girl. And I said, so when you post this body positivity, but when I post, I'm like a video girl. And I'm like, I've known you most of my life, you've never looked at my work. And she didn't know that I directed like commercials and stuff, like Pantene and Clinique and all this shit. And she's like, well, Rihanna can do that, you're not Rihanna. And I was like, why does it matter? You know what I mean? Like, what is on the outside, nothing to do with the inside. And, I started thinking of Diablo Cody, who was a stripper and won an Oscar for a film called Juno. So I started to reject it and kind of rage against it.
And that's why I have like cleavage showing today, because I'm a professional, y'all don't get used to this shit.
That's fine.
You know what I'm saying? And Rihanna's Instagram handle is Bad Girl Riri, so that's why I said Bad Girls Creative Club. You know, I'm from Harlem, I talk about it all the time. I got people's nerves. It's because it's a very privileged place. But I grew up in a community where you were edified and you were applauded for being your authentic self. I mean, anybody in here ever been in Harlem? You know, Nina's over there, she was in Harlem. Hey, what's up? Oh. So, you know, you're walking down the street and like, I see you. Even if they don't understand your look, they're like, I don't know what you're doing, but I see you. Okay, I like it, you know? And I was like, wow, what a privilege to be able to be seen. And I think it's important for us to kind of modify the business and let people do. So for me, healing through art is just, excuse my language, I'm sorry. But I'm sure you can work, so. So for me, healing through arts is like being open to love. You mentioned love, right? It's just being open to love and beauty, being open to beauty. And just try new things, because we really live once. I lost, for the beginning of the pandemic, and the 2 years that followed, I lost about 11 people. I went from never knowing anyone close to me to pass away besides my grandmother when I was in high school to like 11. I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I can break or I can make them proud. So I decided I'm gonna make them proud, you know what I mean? And then also really trust the fact that life is not guaranteed, tomorrow is not promised. So you have an idea or something you wanna do, like my friend Kyra over there, she's an executive, but she's really passionate about photography. And she just texted me yesterday, like, I'm gonna take the leap. It's like, why not? People are not gonna like you anyway, they're gonna judge you, they're gonna have something to say, so you might as well just do it anyway. So for me, it's being open to beauty and love, and just like taking chances. Yeah.
I think so, you know, very God. And I think when it comes to yeah, so when it comes to being a vessel and being of service, I think when I think of healing, I'm not thinking about healing myself per se. It's how do you help other people heal other people, right? And that's why I think all of us have started communities for other people to be their real self. And I think art, when it comes to visual art, the irony about art is that I think those that suffer the most pain and put it through the art have the most value in their artwork, but don't often get the credit that they deserve, right? And I think it's interesting what art is and what it's just in for and how it's evolving in this new Web3 space. But when it comes to healing, my thing about art is that it should be real and transparent, right? So when you create it, it should be about what, you know, there's no prescription, but when you should not feel any hesitation in making it be transparent and you have the sort of agency to be able to want to tell people what it's about or what, you know, people should know. But you also got to realize that the more you give people the transparent sort of reality, the more you're helping other people, right? What Melanie said earlier, you realize how much it's helping other people just by doing the work that you're doing, right? And I think we all realize that as well. Sorry. So I'll keep it short, but I say that healing and art, I think, are sort of one of the same. It depends on the perspective you use, where you're delivering it, who's your audience that you try to deliver to.
Yes, I'll make my real short. I would say like inspiring people through your vulnerability, inspiring people through your pain and how you overcame it, and showing an example of resilience, and then you getting healed by being vulnerable and being authentic and being affirmed for it. I think that's, you know, it's a give and take for the artist where everybody wins. So yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, so I want to thank each and every one of you guys for coming through here. Speaking of Kayvon's name is ICGNU. It's 5 letters that were ringing in my head for the last 13 years. It's I see God in you. And I see God in each and every one of you. I recognize the divinity in all human beings. Well, I got a chance to know you guys. Alyssa left so in November.
Alisa.
So much so that I messed up the So much so that I keep messing up the name. But and so that's my excuse. But great energy in all of our interactions thus far, and I look forward to getting to know you, supporting you, and it's the recognition of divinity in others. You know, you really get that the true reward of success comes through helping others. True rewards in life come through helping others and figuring out ways to help each other. And being selfless and altruistic is probably the fastest route to success. And with that, thank you guys for coming out to the panel.
Thank you. And check out Tony's job, Bad Girls Creative Club. So, you know, definitely thank all the panelists. Appreciate you guys. Back it up once more.
And also, I want to say this song, give a shout out and support to the guy for putting this on. Thank you again for your consideration. If you're looking for hearing and seeing, please support at CatchTheseCompliments, BIGHANI. We are close to our goal, so any donation helps. No donation is too small.
Lower the music. Tommy? Can we get one picture with all the
And don't leave yet, there is more, so grab your drink real quick and come back. And the drinks are not free, by the way, it is a cash bar, so tickets are free, but the drinks are not.
Hey y'all, as a thank you to the CatchTheseCompliments community, I want to thank y'all for being here, and we're going to offer everyone 25% off of the Fearless Artist merch, walk your t-shirts, hoodies, tote bags, you're all Fearless Artists, so 25% off of the store. Just make sure you let us know that you're here with CatchTheseCompliments. Thank you.
I want to get a photo with the last panelist. Let me get one photo with the last panelist.
All right.
And where is Tony Ty? Paige and Tony Ty? Did anybody see her? Okay, so she's in the restroom.
This job. She's taking
Tony Ty, when she comes out, we're going to take one photo. I know you guys got it. One photo. There you go. All right. The last photo of the panels, which is really exciting. Where's Kevon?
One's built for one color and the other.
One, two, three. Say CatchTheseCompliments.
CatchTheseCompliments.
All right.